Everyone.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Township of West Orange Planning Board Special Meeting, August 25th, 2025 at 6:30 PM in council chambers, to those here in council chambers and those watching on Zoom. Notice of this meeting was given to the Township Clerk and posted on Township Bulletin Board and Township website calendar and sent to the West Orange Chronicle and Star Ledger. This meeting has been properly noticed to the public in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act. No new matters will start after 10:30 PM. I ask everybody to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Great. The next planning board regular meeting will be held September 3rd, 2025 at 6:30 PM in person. Council chambers. Roll call, please, Yamilet.
Mr. Alper,
Here.
Mr. Cardoza,
Present.
Ms. Gaffer. Here. Mr. Klein. Mr. Noberine. Mr. Wilks. Councilwoman Scarpa,
Present.
Mayor McCartney,
Present.
Mr. Guarino,
Present.
Chairman Bago.
Present. Thank you. Minutes and resolutions. I make a motion that we adopt the June 23, 2025 West Orange Planning Board draft minutes. Do I have a second?
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Second by Vice Chairman Guarino. Are there any corrections, deletions, or additions? Seeing none. On the motion, Yamilet.
Mr. Alper,
Yes.
Mr. McClain's not here. Mr. Cardoza,
Yes.
Ms. Gaffer,
Yes.
Councilwoman Scarpa,
Yes.
Mayor McCartney,
Yes.
Mr. Guarino,
Yes.
Chairman Bago.
Yes. The minutes are adopted. I make a motion, we adopt the June 30th, 2025 West Orange Planning Board draft minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mayor McCartney seconds. Are there any additions, deletions?
No.
Seeing none. On the motion, Yamilet.
Mr. Alper,
Yes.
Mr. Cardoza,
Yes.
Ms. Gaffer,
Yes.
Councilwoman Scarpa,
Yes.
Mayor McCartney,
Yes.
Mr. Guarino,
Yes.
Chairman Bago.
Yes, the minutes are adopted. I make a motion, we adopt the July 2nd, 2025 West Orange Planning Board draft minutes. Do I have a second?
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Vice Chairman Guarino seconds. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections? Seeing none. On the motion, Yamilet.
Mr. Alper,
Yes.
Mr. Cardoza,
Yes.
Ms. Gaffer,
Yes.
Councilwoman Scarpa,
Yes.
Mayor McCartney,
Yes.
Mr. Guarino,
Yes.
Chairman Bago.
Yes, the minutes are adopted. Thank you. Ms. McGovern, would you swear in the township professionals, please?
Sorry. Okay, we have Mr. Hazel and we have Jordan Rizzo here today from CME. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we have the fourth round housing element and the fair share plan, West Orange Township, fourth round HEFSP draft to determine the date for the public hearing for the draft round, for the fourth round housing element and fair share plan. The date that we have selected is September 10th, 2025 in council chambers at 6:30 PM. Any members of the board have any questions? Seeing none. Do I have a second?
Second, Mr.
Vice
Chairman.
Chairman seconds. Now, this is just for us to allow us to hear this on that date. On that date, there will be public comment. We will have discussion. There'll be a presentation by the planner, and we will go through the entire project in that evening. So on the motion, Yamilet.
Mr. Alper,
Yes.
Mr. Noberine, Mr. Cardoza,
Yes.
Ms. Gaffer,
Yes.
Councilwoman Scarpa,
No, as this has not been properly given to the public with 48 hours notice, I don't think it's appropriate to be moving forward.
Councilperson Scarpa, this is not to vote on this. This is just to select a date to hear the information in the public on September 10th. So it will be properly noticed.
But shouldn't the public have had this according to the Open Publics Meeting Act, since it is on our agenda and they have not had the opportunity to view it? Many have asked me for it.
The public will have the opportunity to hear it. It will be posted on our website, but we have to adopt a date first, and then it will be posted on our website, and the public will have time to comment on September 10th.
But shouldn't they have had it to view today, given that it's on our agenda?
It had to appear on our agenda first. But
Right, but
we'll
shouldn't
accept it, no.
anything that
That's
appears
okay.
on our agenda be given to the public?
That's okay. We accept the no. Move on.
Mayor McCartney,
Yes.
Mr. Guarino,
Yes.
Chairman Bago.
Yes, motion carries. So, ladies and gentlemen, here and in the public, on September 10th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. in council chambers, we will hear the fourth round housing element and fair share plan, and it will be presented by Higher Gruel, the planners. At that time, there will be public comment, and the board will listen to all questions. Thank you. Application PB 24-01, West Texas Highlands Incorporated, Block 179, Lot 32, Zone IH1, Warner Road. The applicant is proposing a 496-unit inclusionary multifamily residential development on a vacant 120-acre property in the northwest corner of the township of West Orange. For the applicant, Mr. Plucker.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Brian Plucker from the firm of Hutch Manowitz and Plucker here on behalf of the applicant.
Done?
I don't have anything right
Good.
now.
Okay, nice to hear from you. Mr. Efron. Thank you, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Bruce, I'm sorry. Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm Bruce Safran, counsel for the objector. We care.
You have the floor, sir.
Thank you. We have three witnesses tonight. As the board may know by now, one witness, Mr. Hudasco, had an injury last night or this morning and is unable to be here today. But we do have Professor John Hasse from Rowan University, Michelle Byers, retired from the New Jersey Conservation Foundation, and we have Al Litwania of Litwania Associates, who will be presenting on traffic, RSIS, and related civil engineering issues. We were going to begin this evening with Professor Hasse. Now, I understand he's going to hook directly into the board's computer so he can control the board directly in presenting and making his presentation.
Go right ahead.
If I can just introduce him very briefly, he'll qualify himself. Professor Hasse is in the Department of Geography and Planning at Rowan University. He is a geographer by academic discipline. He also teaches in the planning field. Though he's not a licensed planner in New Jersey, he has a national planning certification. He is the director of the Geospatial Lab at Rowan University. And as you may know, that is the repository of the state's documentation, photographic and other documentation concerning land development sites, which is regularly used in state planning matters. And he'll be presenting from the database of GIS at Rowan, which is also the state database of which he is the custodian with respect to material relevant to understanding this particular site.
Spelling of his last name, the spelling.
Yes, he'll correct me if I'm wrong, Hasse.
Okay.
And I believe it's pronounced Hasse? Thank you.
Good evening. Do I have, can you hear me? Do I have a
Yes.
microphone?
Would you dear him, sir?
Yeah, well,
Thank you.
yeah, Mr.
Wait,
Professor
wait.
Hasse, I need to.
Before you in.
Yes.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Well, if you want to use this one, because I'm just going to voir dire and quick.
I can project pretty well.
No, you have to be heard on the Zoom.
Okay. Okay, can you, is that working? Can you hear me? All right now?
Professor Hassey, I would ask that you project when possible. If the air conditioning goes on, it becomes hard to hear. So my voice isn't too strong right now, but try to project if you can.
I will try my best.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Professor Hassey, you've been sworn in. Let me just ask you a few questions to qualify you as an expert. I mentioned earlier you are on the faculty of Rowan University. Is that correct?
Correct.
And what is your academic position?
I am a professor of geography, and I am the director of the undergraduate program in planning, and also the director of the Geospatial Research Lab, where we do GIS analysis.
And just describe generally what is GIS analysis.
Geographic Information Systems is a way of essentially doing mapping with computers. It's very powerful. You can ask all kinds of questions of the GIS. And I often say that geographers, the three most important things that geographers study are location, location, location. And real estate people have stolen that from us, but that's what we do. Why there? Why does it make sense there? And why not someplace else? Or what are the conflicts in space there? GIS is probably getting a lot of attention right now because there are redistricting projects going on across the nation, potentially. And the computer mapping is the technology that allows analysis like that to happen. I will correct one thing that you said about Rowan being the depository. It's a depository. It's not the depository. We use the state mapping data to produce our own series of state atlas, but it's not the state atlas in New Jersey. It's Rowan's version of that. So I just want to be clear about that. But I'll be demonstrating that, and it's why I wanted to have ability to have the computer control.
Thank you. I would like to proffer Professor Hassey as an expert in geospatial analysis and planning analysis based on geospatial presentation.
I have a question. Professor Hassey, can you speak more to the National Planning Certificate, I believe Mr. Afrin mentioned, as opposed to New Jersey license?
So nationally, there's only 2 states that require a state-specific license. That's New Jersey and Oregon. The rest of the states, it's Association of Institute of Certified Planners, AICP. I have my AICP. I have my planner in training for New Jersey, but as an academic, I never finished the actual transfer over to a planning license because I'm not in a practicing planning situation. I'm teaching.
Okay, thank you, Professor.
What is this information going to do for us?
I couldn't really answer that till I see it, but it's going to analyze, my understanding is it will analyze the site in conjunction with the geographical area around it, which is critical because one of the tasks under the MLUL, whether there's an ordinance or not, is avoidance of environmental and ecological harm from any site plan application. In addition, traffic analysis, for example, is another critical area. Flooding, we've heard about from this project, or potentially from this project through Princeton Hydro. All of that relates to the surrounding geography of the region and what impacts it will have on areas surrounding this particular site. One way to understand, in fact, environmental impacts is to see visually the environment around the property. One can't just look at the 4 squares and say we understand the impact. So this is a tool that's used in state planning, and Professor Hassey can go into that himself, to analyze the effect of development and to plan development throughout the state. GIS is a fundamental planning tool, and it's emerged as such. So that's the purpose. And it's used in the state planning process, so it's certainly relevant here.
Will you be evaluating everything in the township of West Orange or just this piece of land?
Well,
Could you
this
speak up, Mr. Johnson?
presentation is just over the proposal. But the mapping that I will show that's available for Rowan is freely available. There's no paywall, there's no login. It's meant to be a public service, and many planning boards use New Jersey Map, which is what we host at Rowan, because there are literally hundreds of layers of information that you can use for any project. You can zoom in on any proposal and see what that data is available. We have most of the state data, and then we create our own interpretations of that are intentionally designed for the public interest.
So you're basically testifying to the geography of the area.
The geography of the proposal and its geographic significance of its layout, its location, and the implications of that.
I will stress it is a common planning tool to go through GIS analysis. It's perfectly proper as expert testimony.
We've used GIS planning previously I'm trying to understand how this is going to speak to the zoning ordinance. And most of the things you're gonna be talking about are, it's either there or hypothetical. The GIA tells you something is physically there. Everything else is hypothetical, what could happen around there. So you're not speaking to areas that are around there that were also built and how. I'm pretty loud.
It's hard, it's actually hard to hear even.
Okay. We're looking for objective information. So if you testify to the application has geography and talk to the geography, we've had other experts speak to different areas. So we'll go slowly and we'll see how that goes.
Fair enough.
Because we don't want to have things entered into the record that are not speaking to the application directly or hypothetical. Okay, so if we.
Well, if I could just differ, I don't think anything's hypothetical, except to the extent when we've had testimony about geostructural problems that may arise, flooding that may arise. That's not hypothetical. It's based on actual data that's known, though it's never known precisely what the ultimate implication will be. So when you speak of hypothetical, I think that's an overstatement. We've not had hypothetical testimony. We've had testimony based on actual data that experts say will reasonably lead to the potential for the following.
We've also had experts on both sides of that coin. So then the
Right.
information becomes hypothetical, because if you're all the way to the left and all the way to the right, there's something in the middle. So we have
No,
to find,
it could actually be on the left or the right. It doesn't have to be in the middle.
usually it ends up in the middle, but neither here nor there. Go right ahead. Let's start. I'm sorry, Mr. Plucker.
Yeah, just with respect to qualifications, I'd just like to make clear, Professor, for the record, are you a professional engineer?
No,
Okay, have you ever made any type of application to the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection?
no.
Okay, I just wanted to get that on the record. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Go right ahead, sir.
Okay, thank you. So the New Jersey Map Project, which we run out of Rowan, is an online public service map of many of New Jersey's GIS data layers. And we package them in a way that makes it very accessible to the non-expert user. Planning boards is a big target that we're trying to provide this information for making the most informed decisions. I'm going to be talking to you about looking at this development from two different angles. One, I have been working with the Office of Planning Advocacy on the state plan update, and we have a map that is, or a couple maps that is geared directly for serving the state planning process. And we also have been working for about 10 years with a number of conservation groups in creating a GIS model that helps to prioritize what lands are most valuable for conservation. And because there's, you can't preserve everything. So there's priority models that we've done for that. So we're going to look at it from two different lenses, the smart growth planning and from the conservation, or what I call smart conservation planning. We have many other map layers there, as you're going to see. The proposed project, as you know, is 496 units, multifamily residential on 120 acres of currently forested land. And the question is this the most appropriate use of this land, or what are the costs to West Orange? So this idea of smart growth is it efficient? Is it cost effective? And we're going to look at some ways of measuring that using the computer mapping technology. Okay, so when we think about land systems, we think about smart growth, we think about conservation. It's a system. It functions in a way that things have to be connected. This is Da Vinci's very famous diagram of the perfect human. Right, things are the right spot in the right. They're connected in the right way, the right scale, and this is be analogous to form follows function. So think about the components are where they should be at the right scale, efficient, connected, flowing, integrated, but allows the body to function. Form follows function. We think about sprawl. A lot of New Jersey has had a lot of development that's not connected. It's at the wrong scale. It's impacting resources that shouldn't be impacted. We can think about that not functioning very well. So this is in the smart growth context. Urban sprawl is something that things are just scattered in the wrong place, at the wrong scale, inefficient, poorly connected, congested, and segregated, and wasteful. Sprawl development is documented in many places as being much more costly than smart growth development. smart growth patterns. So when we think about the smart growth of having things that are designed at the scale of humans, the image on the left, this is from the state planning office, same amount of development as the right picture. The left is an idealized idea of what makes smart growth. A community is a place. On the right, sprawl, everything goes anywhere, inefficient, costly. Okay, so can smart growth development be distinguished from sprawl? Well, before GIS technology, it was very difficult to do, but we've been developing a way of looking at any proposed development and seeing what are the implications. You can call it smart growth, you can call it whatever you want, but how efficient and effective is it on the landscape? Let me show you how that works. And it really is based in a lot of principles that are from the state Office of Planning Advocacy, as in this case, and in many of the planning journals over decades of what does it mean to be smart growth? It's not just a nice sounding term. So my first part of what I'm going to be showing you is the 10 measurements of smart growth that we developed at Rowan, and then 10 measurements of smart conservation. Okay, so I'll quickly go through this, and I think my diagrams will make it clear. First of all, characteristic of smart growth is it doesn't consume so much land. So the left-hand image is less unit consumed per housing unit per person housed. Second one is it infill? Is it contiguous to existing development? Or is it leapfrogging out into areas that aren't developed yet? That's our second measurement. We can measure that again with the computer mapping. Third measurement, smart growth is mixed use. It's things that are creating community assets that you can walk to, that have a sense of place, whereas sprawl is large areas, all the same thing, homogeneous, and so forth. So we can measure that, again, using computer metrics. Fourth measurement, is it creating community streetscapes, or are the streetscapes highway strip, sprawling, ribbon growth? Fifth measurement, regional planning consistency. Right? There's a state plan. It's important for towns to be able to work together to be coordinating with the state plan. But the state plan is not something that has hard teeth, and it is something that is voluntary. So how well does the local development proposal comply with the state plan or with a regional plan? Because these are metrics that can be used all across the country. Another thing we look at is road infrastructure. How efficient are the roads? And typically, when you have blocks, you have a more efficient road. There's other alternate ways to go. You're using up less lane miles per house. And again, you're creating a neighborhood versus loops and lollipops of what would be more considered sprawl. Seventh measurement is, do you have access to non-automobile transportation? What's the closest that any particular unit in your proposal is to something other than a car? And if you are close enough to it, can you walk to it or ride a bicycle to it? Seventh measurement is transit accessibility. Eighth measurement is community nodes. Well, if you're going to go somewhere in town, it's probably going to be to something that is common for people to do. So for example, a grocery store, a school, a library, a hospital, we can actually use GIS to measure the distance from every single unit in a proposed development and get an idea of how much this is going to generate. And again, if you're closer, ideally within walking or biking distance to your community destinations, that would be idealized smart growth. And then 9 is our land resource integrity. Is your proposal consuming important natural resources or impacting them in some kind of a way? And so again, if development is done in such a manner where it avoids the most sensitive lands, that would be considered smart growth, whereas indiscriminate consumption of resources is considered problematic sprawl. And finally, 10th measurement here, what is the impact of this particular growth project on the whole town or the whole region? Explosive growth is often considered synonymous with sprawl, but things are just growing so fastly. Or in the case of West Orange, how much land do you have left? Is it consuming your remaining lands? And that would be more so the case because you are largely built out here in West Orange. Down in Gloucester County, where I'm from, it's more the former, where we have explosive growth in towns that are growing faster than any place else in the state. Okay, so let's take a look at this. If we look at the project, and I encourage you to follow along, and for each one of these, you can give your own grade. Yeah, we're gonna have a little report card. I'm a professor. I like to grade things, right? And so as we go through this, I'm not going to tell you what my grade is. At the end, I'll give you a little glimpse. I invite the board and the participants here to make their own notes about what they grade each factor for this particular proposal. And in doing so, I'll probably jump out and show you some of the NJ maps that are behind this. So let's start first of all with the density, right? So you have 120 acres of a parcel, 496 units. That's quarter acre per unit. How do you feel about that? Is that sprawling? Is that smart growth? Smart growth would be given an A. If it's sprawling, it'd be given an F, somewhere in between. And so that's the first measurement. So number one, what's the density? Is that density that would be identified with smart growth? Okay, number two, infill versus leapfrog. All right, well, okay, is this adjacent to existing development, or is it leapfrog out into an area of open space? Well, these are rough measurements, probably within 10%, but we estimated to the north is about 300 feet, to the closest housing unit to the east is 840 feet, to the south 604, to the west 885 feet. Okay, again, these are estimates. They're pretty close. I almost guarantee this, but this was not, done to a level of detail because the plan, frankly, was not detailed enough for us to put that kind of detailed measurement in. So again, is this, in your mind, a leapfrog development, or is this smart growth where things are contiguous, or they're infilling spots that are vacant lots within a community? Number three, mixed use versus segregated land use. Okay, what is this land use? Is there some kind of mixture there? Are there other things to do besides a bedroom to sleep in and a housing unit? So as far as I understand, this project is multifamily residential. It's only residential, so it would be a single land use. Okay. Again, you're free to have your own grade here. Number four, community streetscape. Is it creating a community in its street layout where you can walk to the neighbor's house, you can walk to a grocery store, or is it creating streets that are ribbon or highway without sidewalks where you can't safely walk or bike or push a stroller? Again, what's your grade for this? Number five, is it consistent with a regional plan? This one's a little bit of a trick question. The state plan has this area as, and does anybody know? What is our planning area in the state plan? It's a planning area 1, metropolitan. That's where the majority of growth should happen, right? If you read the state plan, it doesn't mean fill it up entirely with development. It means that's where you should focus development, but it also says there's a concept of centers. You develop in centers and you protect the environs, and environs can be within planning area 1. So again, what's your sense of whether this is fulfilling the state plan? And now zoning wise, I mean, the planning area 1, yes, but if you read the rest of the state plan, there's lots of language in there about how to develop in ways that create smart growth, and it doesn't automatically mean anything anywhere in planning area 1 is what the state plan is calling for. Number 6, connected road infrastructure. Do you have a neighborhood where you can walk around the block, or are you creating loops and lollipops where primarily you can drive to have a play date? So again, we can measure this in metrics such as intersections per unit or lengths of roads per unit, and we have numbers that come with that. For this grading exercise here, we're just doing it visually, if that is more smart growth or sprawling. Number 7, transit accessibility. Do you have a means of actually getting somewhere from your living unit there that isn't a car? Well, this again is some estimates because the plan is not detailed enough, but the estimates for nearest bus stop is 1.45 miles, nearest train station 5.1 miles, and no sidewalks. right? So you actually have to drive to get to these public transportation options. Community note accessibility. How many things can you get to in a reasonable time? Now, we use measurement of human walking speed. So we go about, the average person, maybe about three miles an hour. So you can go a mile in 20 minutes. Can you walk to any of these destinations on average? I just took a center point inside the development diagram there. So on average, to the center of this development proposal, estimate that schools 1.7 miles, grocery store 1.5, park 2.1 miles, police 3.7, fire 1.4, library 3.3, post office 1.7. These are real things that people will do every day of their lives. So it's an index, like the Dow Jones Index. It doesn't mean this is measuring everything that everyone's going to do, but it gives you a sense of what a development will create as far as vehicle miles traveled, and it'll give you a sense of how much of that you can actually do not in the car, all right? So, and again, without sidewalks, it makes it really not likely that you could bike or walk to these destinations. Land resource impact. In this case, we do have a patch of forest that's over 100 acres. And that would mean that there is a core area. That means interior to the edge of a forest is considered special habitat, because there are some species that can't really exist just in the edges or little strips of forest. They need core forest area there. So this does have a core forest area loss estimated to be about 49 acres. Impervious surface created is about 12. I forgot to put it in the slide here, about 12 acres from the engineering that was done so far, and that does not include sidewalks. So impervious surface may be more than the 12.1 acres. And it is a resource of being the headwaters. It's the absolute headwaters of Canoe Brook. Again, what's your grade in your report card here? So finally, growth trajectory. This project consumes 100 acres plus of land remaining. And when you look at this, and this is what I'll show, I'm going to pop out to NJ Map right now. Again, NJ-map.com. That's the easiest way to get to it. And what I'm showing here is we have animated maps that are showing development over the last 30 years. I'm not focusing on West Orange, because West Orange was largely built out by 1986. There's a little bit of development that happens there, but just to give you an idea of how we can create a sense of a story of what's been happening in New Jersey's landscapes, how it's been developing over time. And so we have these animated maps, but what I want to show you is, I want to show you a layer, and this is how you're going to kind of absorb here how you use NG Map. I'm going to go to the layer called remaining lands. Okay, we did a model that said everything that's protected, let's make that green. Everything that's already built, let's make that red. Anything that's left over, that's remaining, that could possibly be developed, is either purple or blue. Okay, and so let me show you the legend for that. This is how you get the legend, right? Okay, trying to do this on a laptop. All right, so here's Essex County, and we can kind of zoom in here to the parcel. Now I can see it right away. Here is the track. It's purple and it's blue. Blue meaning it's restricted. It has some wetlands or steep slopes or something like that. Purple meaning that it's unrestricted. When we look at the parcel here, and we can see that mapped out, right? All these little bits and pieces of purple are not really that available. They might be people's backyards, but there's not very many large tracts of open space left in Essex County. In fact, this is the last largest undeveloped lot in the entire county. It's the last largest. There's a little bit down here, but that's along the highway here. It's definitely one of the most significant remaining parcels of land. Okay, so that's how this works, to give you an idea here. There's so many different layers that are available that you can open this up and see, like special flood hazard areas and that type of thing. But here's a really nice thing that most planning boards really give us a lot of compliments are. We can go to the boundary layers and click on parcels, right? And this will draw all the parcels. And then you can click on any particular parcel and it will give you a link to our parcel mapping. And this is, we do this at Rowan. This is not the state. We use state data, but we add a lot more stuff to it. So you can see the tax records from the state here, but you can also see measurements. You can see things like wastewater service area. You can see things like public community water service area. And this is interesting, that actually it is not in the water service area, which was interesting to find. But anyway, this is the parcel mapping that is very, very useful for planning board. So I want to bring that to your attention here. All right, now we look at this, go back here to the remaining lands. I think you get a sense of why I brought this up, and I'll go back to the slide presentation for this question of growth trajectory, right? So, this proposal is very significant in its impact in growth trajectory for your municipality. You're using up the last large lot of undeveloped open space. You're going to be adding, I'm just estimating using the census averages for West Orange, 1,300 new people. That's 496 times 2.7, and estimated auto trips somewhere between 2,700 and possibly much more than that. I went on the conservative side here to be more consistent. So, and it is the last. So then what happens, right? And when this is developed, then West Orange, along with many other municipalities, will be in a mode of redevelopment. Redevelopment is the future, and that's not something to be worried about. That's really exciting. You can actually recreate things that are not done very well in the past or that are abandoned or whatnot. The question is, do you use up all the land first before you start to really focus on redevelopment? Okay, so that is the, did everybody keep their scorecard? Do you have your report card here? I'll quickly show you mine. Again, I'm not trying to grade this. This is just what I would, share with my students. Here it is. We'll just let them go. All right, there you go. Okay. All right, so what if the land were put into conservation, right? Again, now this is just Google Earth with a 3D SketchUp on there. It doesn't really show the whole plan, but I just wanted to give a sense of the geography of that. We can do the same thing, and I'm appreciating that I'm taking up a lot of time here, so I will go a little bit faster through the smart conservation goals here. Again, this is in the context of New Jersey's development. And we've been monitoring this and tracking this since 1986, when we really had the first GIS data coming out. And New Jersey has developed since 1986, 377,000 acres of formerly undeveloped land that became urbanized. Okay, that's a third of 1 million acres, and we're only a 5 million acre state. That's a tremendous amount of development in only 30 years. And that rate has slowed down with, guess what? The state plan has helped to make development be a smaller footprint. The density of housing has increased tremendously since the state plan has gone into effect. And Rowan, we've done analysis showing that. The impact analysis for the new state plan coming out really documents that. So smart growth does make a difference. But we still have a long way to go where development will change the landscape irreparably, right? It doesn't go backwards. It doesn't go from natural to urbanized and then back to natural again without it being really diminished in its landscape. So the decisions we make today really will be important for many years to come. All right, so with the conservation group that we work with is something called the New Jersey Conservation Blueprint. And the blueprint is led by a team of 3, and we're just kind of the custodians of this idea. The New Jersey Conservation Foundation, Rowan University, and the Nature Conservancy, but it is actually consists of a steering committee of state, nonprofit, local, and private organizations that come together and say, what are our goals for conservation? We can't preserve everything. That's unrealistic. What are the things that are highest priority? And so same thing, we can create a series of smart conservation priorities, right? Wouldn't it be good to prioritize the larger tracts? Because you get a lot more open space with 100 acres than you do with a 5-acre lot, which is the minimum for frontline preservation. You can't just do a bunch of 5 acres without it being a lot of work, a lot of resources spent on it. So prioritize the larger tracts near other open space. it's really good to make clusters of open space, in particular farmland preservation, which isn't an issue here, but it is also important for habitat and for connecting human open space, right? Protect habitats as a goal, promote connectivity, both with wildlife and with humans, protect forest core, water quality, flood risk, steep slopes, and important soils, and create community green space.
Professor Hassey, I have no problem. You don't have to talk that fast. We have time, and I want to make sure the reporter doesn't have to miss. So you can slow down a bit.
Okay, well, thank you. I thought you were going to say, we're going to have to cut it short.
No,
So
no, no,
that's a
no,
much better answer.
No,
Thank
your
you.
time is yours for your presentation, subject to the chair's rulings on anything. Thank you.
Okay, well then I will go through this and I will go not quite as fast, but I still won't, I'm going to try not drag it on because we have other experts. Okay, so these are the priorities that we are looking for in the conservation community. And let's go through this here. And again, you can keep a score on whether this proposed site would be ringing the bell or how it would be. And you know, it's a gradient. It's not like, you know, this site is perfect for conservation and this site is perfect for, there's all these factors it's complicated, but you can get a sense by having priorities that you have mapped out that have scientific measurements to them to give you a sense. It's not just how you feel or because it's in your own backyard. There are real metrics to go by here. So if we look again, this is the remaining lands map. I already showed you that live, so I don't need to go on that again. Again, I wanted to give an idea that it is the last large remaining parcel in the entire county. And is it near other open space? Okay, so this one is pretty good. It's not adjacent specifically to a park, but it is pretty close to 3 different golf courses. And it does, as you can see, and we're going to see with other metrics here, create a network of open spaces. It's not that far from other open spaces, which is good. You want to have things to be able to be potentially connected that way. So near other open space. Okay, protected habitat. Now, protected habitat is for all species. This is the DEP's landscape project, which is endangered species. And there haven't been endangered species found on this site, but the yellow indicates that it is the type of habitat where many species, including endangered species, could go. So it is a rank 1 in the yellow areas there. And
I'm going to stop you. I have to stop you. Mr. Efron, we're getting off track here. This is, again, you're quoting information that we have. There are no endangered species. We understand this.
yeah,
We've heard from many experts. You're recounting the testimony of other experts. So doing it again and again and again is not providing another layer of information for the planning board. Right now, we've heard all of this from different experts. Doing this again is not helping us get more information that we didn't have to help us make our decision. I want to focus on this piece of land and things that we know to be different, such as telling us that there's no endangered species. We've heard from experts there were no endangered species. Doing it again is not.
I'm not saying there's no endangered species. I
No.
did say that. I said this is habitat for all species. Endangered
understand.
species is an indicator of critical concern, but I'm saying that this is habitat for many species.
So are you testifying there are endangered species here that have not been previously identified?
I'm not testifying that, but this
Okay.
is private land, and so it's not
Well,
walked. and it's
we
not-
have to be
it's not-
careful what's put on the record.
Yeah.
Okay?
I think he was very clear to say there were no endangered species, excuse
that's
me,
what I-
endangered species known on the site.
Right.
The witness is saying this is marked on the state mapping as habitat for wildlife, and he's showing where habitat is here on this site compared to in the immediate vicinity as well. And his purpose, as he introduced it, was to say, we need to look at what other links there are and that this is a part of. He's not testifying to specific species. He's saying this is the habitat for wildlife that the state map shows.
We
and
know
this
that.
land has some of that habitat.
We know that.
Well, you don't know it in relation to what's around it, which is the point of this map.
Well, the people in the township of West Orange who are on the planning board do know that.
Well, I don't think they carry around the visual impact of this map in people's heads. It's very useful to see
I
that.
don't know
That's
what they
why
carry around in their head, so tell them.
we don't know what people carry around in their individual heads.
Exactly.
That is absolutely
No,
true.
your point, I
And
take
we
your-
shouldn't make a survey of that either. It's bad
Let's
practice.
focus on this piece of land and differences that we haven't heard. That would make the most sense and it would be most helpful for the planning board and the public.
This is in the context of its conservation value. And there's multiple things in this
Yeah,
report.
we
card.
understand
Yeah,
that.
Okay.
Just let's note, could you go back one second, please? Just since we had colloquy on the subject, it's a slide headed number 3, protect habitat. And in the left-hand corner, it says Part 2, Smart Conservation Report Card. Since there are no page numbers, I just want to identify what the chair was referring to.
It's also correct, or make sure the record's clear. This is going to be 022, right? We're gonna need a copy of it to put it.
Yeah, and one thing I was thinking as we did this, there are different overlays. So I think we're gonna have to find a way to print the different overlays. Yeah.
It's gonna be called 022.
020, this is exhibit 022, and the chair was referring to testimony concerning slide marked 3 dot project protect habitat.
Okay, go right ahead, Doc.
Okay. And the mapping that I showed live, there's a QR code at the end, which will be in the presentation that I provide, that you can get to the NJ map project. It's very easy to get to it. Okay, so protect the habitat. I was not, this is a slide showing the endangered species. I'm not, the point of this is that it's habitat for many species, and this is just kind of showing that endangered species is compatible there. Okay, that's the point I was trying to make. To promote connectivity is a goal of conservation. This parcel is in a very ideal situation for the Garden State Greenways vision for connected greenways. And so that's kind of interesting how that plays into there. Protect forest core. That's something that is already mentioned, that this does have core forests that will be impacted. And so that's a conservation goal. I'm not trying to repeat past testimony. I'm trying to make the case that in a smart growth smart conservation context, these are the things that we look at to help planning boards make decisions. As far as protecting water quality, there are many aspects of this. This is showing active river area in red. That's a TNC, Nature Conservancy model. It also shows stream buffers and wetlands buffers there. And you can see in the purple that this is within the Passaic River, and it's the Canoe Brook watershed, and so that's important. Mitigating flood risk. Again, this is now at a scale showing further down on the Canoe Brook, and the headwaters being very clear starting in this parcel. The orange areas there are FEMA and FEMA +3, which is DEP's new mapping, just to give an indication that as the hydrology changes for this site, it changes downriver and will impact when there are flooding events in these areas that are now mapped. Steep slopes, there are a number of steep slopes here that are greater than 15%. Again, this is just priorities for conservation. It's ideal to prioritize areas with steep slopes because they are areas that are often not the ideal for development. And number 9 here, protect important soils. This has 2 different branches. One, if this was farmland, I would have prime farm soils. This is forested land, and so we use the NRCS forest soil productivity mapping for that. A1 is the most productive. This is a 1B. I mean, 1A is most productive. This is a 1B, so it would be the second tier in productivity for forestry. That's in so growing and managing forests. And finally, we have community green space. Now, this is one that open space is not just for habitat for animals, it's habitat for people too. People like to enjoy outdoors. So this model, this is one that we do for the conservation blueprint, is taken into consideration if it could be passive or active recreation. What are the features or factors that would make it be conducive to being ideal for usage by people? And so those are the 10 factors. Again, you can put your own grades to them. I did not grade these for this, but I wanted to leave that up to the audience to do and to the planning board. But to have these factors make you think about what is the context of the proposed development and the importance as if it was conserved. Here are a framework of metrics that can help you understand the priorities that the planning world and the conservation world have identified. Okay, so again, now I'm kind of wrapping things up here. This is just giving you an idea of how we use this geospatial technology to understand land systems. Landscapes change over time. It is a living system. And so we look at the most recent satellite imagery that we have on NJ Map, but we also have going back. Here is 1997, and we can see that there's more forest back then. And we can go to back to the 1930s and see what the landscape was then. There was a lot of deforestation that actually happened in the 1800s. This area was forested, and we can go all the way back to the Vermeule maps. The Vermeules were actually surveyed in field. If you can imagine the detail of doing this. This is the 1880s. This was forested many times. The other parts of northern New Jersey were completely deforested. So this is an area that has been in forest at least since the 1880s. And so, that's give you kind of this context of what is the future going forward for the next 30, 100, 150 years of this parcel. Okay, so with that, I will wrap up my my presentation. Thank you very much for your patience. Thank you for your questions. Here are the maps that I mentioned. Again, it's very user-friendly, but you can use these QR codes or you can click on these links when I provide the presentation to the board. And thank you very much for your time.
I have one quick follow-up question, Professor Hasse. Thank you very much. Could you go back to the soil quality chart? I wanted to clarify one piece of testimony. That's it, yes. Now, you mentioned that the purple area is B. Is that 1B?
It's 1B, correct, yes.
And you said that was the second tier, meaning it was most productive below the first, which is farmland.
No,
No,
the first one is, this is
Okay.
forest productivity. And so 1B and I apologize, the key, I had to cut and paste from a web page. So, and this is in a presentation, but on the web page itself, it has a full documentation of it.
Okay.
But the 1A is the most productive soils, and then 1P is described as slightly less productive than 1A.
And there are 6 levels on your chart.
Correct. And the blue is saturated forest soil, so that would not be productive. Well, it would be like swamp type of forest species there. So you can see the wetlands really pop out on the site. Doesn't mean it can't be forest, but it's a different nature of forest complex.
So when you said it was second tier, you only meant that in relation to the first level. This is actually the second highest out of 6 categories.
Correct. And I would, if I were to tell you what my grade would be, this would be a B. It's not an A, but it's a B, right? So you can see other areas that are green, they would be A as far as the forest productivity quality to it, And so, yes, it doesn't mean that it's, the wording literally is slightly less productive than 1A.
I just want to clarify. So
Yeah.
second tier is second out of 6.
Correct.
It's not
correct,
just second out of 2.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. That's all I had.
Thank you. Mayor McCartney, do you have any questions for Professor Hass on his testimony? Mayor McCartney, do you have questions for Professor Hass on his testimony?
So good evening, Mr. Hesse. I think that this would be a very interesting lesson on smart growth planning for any new planning board member. I said that I think that this would be a very interesting lesson for all new planning board members to learn about smart growth. I found that it was very useful training. In this particular case, though, it seemed like this is not a community meeting for us to decide. It actually, all of your smart growth matches our master plan.
Mhm.
We would agree with that. This parcel is not for sale. So this is not a community meeting for us to decide if we can conserve it. We're trying to do our best to conserve it. And what this particular development has, you do have in your presentation that there was 120 acres. There's also in that slide, 120 acres. You said it was 24 units per acre, but in this case, 25 of those acres are steep slope, and 61 are developable acres,
Mhm.
and they are disturbing 27.9. So as far as in this particular case, I think, following smart growth planning, they are doing the best they can to conserve
Yeah.
over 30 acres of this parcel. And we have to decide if they're doing that correctly or not. The inference I felt, my takeaway was the inference that you were saying is that this is sprawl. And from what I see from them trying to condense everything to the 27 areas, acres, it's not sprawl. They're doing the best they can to not create sprawl. I don't know that I have a question buried in there. It just seemed that that was my takeaway. There was one of the, I think, number 7 or something about transportation accessibility. We don't have a train station in town, and what the town has put together is a jitney system. We have 7 different routes all over town to get people to where they need to be.
Mayor McCartney.
So we're doing the best we can. So I don't have a question.
Thank you.
Because as much as we would like to conserve as much as we can,
Thank you.
it's not for sale,
Thank you.
unfortunately.
Vice Chairman Garino, do you have any questions?
Yes,
for Mr.
thank you,
Hassett?
Mr. Chairman. Professor, thank you for being here this evening. We appreciate your input. I have a quick question for you. One, were you at this site, the development site, to look and see what it looks like?
I have not walked the site, no.
Okay, so you've not walked the site and see the conditions as it stands right now and the surrounding community, the current residents and their houses and their development.
I've been in the surrounding community, yes.
Oh, so you've been within West Essex Highlands, the development itself?
No, it's, from what I understood, it was private property and I'm,
Okay,
yeah,
still,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
There's an ambiguity. I think when he heard West Essex Highlands, I think the witness meant the forest.
right.
Could we clarify that? then?
That's my next, that's,
Yeah, okay.
thank you. So you didn't go on a property, so you haven't seen the current condition of the forested area, the condition of the trees, the underbrush and everything else when you did this whole presentation. This is basically paper. It's basically from reporting and so, okay. And and can I ask another hypothetical question, sir?
Sure.
So when you're, in part of it, when you're saying about connectivity to the neighborhoods and stuff like that, are you saying that it's a bad development if it does not connect to the surrounding community? So if it was farther away or farther up a hill and it was not walkable, you're saying it's not, I'm not saying you are saying, but you would say that it's not a proper development and a proper.
I didn't use the word bad. I didn't use the word proper. I said it's not smart growth. It's not walkable, right? It's not, you can't push a baby stroller. That's what I'm saying. I'm not putting any judgment on it.
Okay, and my last question, Professor, thank you, is have you seen the site plan? Have you looked at the plans and the construction plans and what's going to be put there?
I have reviewed what's online, which is what I understand is the plans. It doesn't seem like it's a complete plans. There's not, I don't see sidewalks and things like that, details where I could really evaluate that. But yes, I have reviewed what's online.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you for your time. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Alpert. Do you have any questions from Professor Hassett on his testimony?
Thank you. Are there specific things, any specific things that you might suggest that would put this project into more of a smart growth mode?
In what regard? Whether to like change the design of the plan or
If there
something?
were, right, based on what you've seen and how that comports to, your mapping and everything, are there things that could improve it from that perspective?
The location of this has problematic aspects when you look at the factors that we look at and trying to evaluate whether something's smart growth or sprawl. It is not compliant with what is the priorities for smart growth. It's consuming, the last remaining parcel in the county. And the future of development in West Orange, as well as most of New Jersey, is redevelopment. So I know there's affordable housing component to this. And, to serve the affordable housing need is a really important part of smart growth. But locating affordable housing in places where actually you have a neighborhood that you can have the ability to go to a grocery store, to do other things, but it doesn't require a 1.5 mile drive, would be a smarter location for affordable housing. That's what I'm saying.
Gotcha. Thank you.
You have to come back on September 10th and see our affordable housing plan.
Ms. Kapfer.
Thank you, Dr. Hussey, for your, thank you for your presentation. Are you able to speak at all? You referenced the state plan. Are you able to comment at all about how the state plan informs things like local zoning and affordable housing numbers? Yeah, sure. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, sorry. It feels like it's loud here, but I know you're hearing something different. I asked about how the state plan may inform local zoning and also affordable housing requirements. If you can comment.
Yeah, the state plan certainly talks about affordable housing, and it talks about what types of zoning can achieve the goals of the state plan. But the state plan is not a direction. It is a recommendation. It's trying to get communities and municipalities to work together for overall benefit of regional planning. So it doesn't have a prescription of exactly how to do or numbers for affordable housing, but it does say that affordable housing is part of the structure of development and of a community and should be housed appropriately.
Thank you.
Mr. Cardoza, do you have any questions?
No questions. Thank you,
Hassan.
Professor, for the succinct presentation. My colleagues on the board have asked my questions.
Thank you.
Vice Chair, we got a second question, sir.
Yes, I do. But how about Vice Scarpa? Oh.
Councilperson Scarpa.
I have no questions at this time. Thank you for your presentation. It was very informative.
Vice Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Professor, you go back to affordable housing and it's something that you're going, okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I have hearing aids, so it's like, I'm sorry. You go back when you're talking about affordable housing and transportation, everything else. People have this wrong impression about affordable housing. Can you hear me? People have this wrong impression about when you hear affordable housing. So don't look at me, okay? Affordable housing. People who are entitled to affordable housing have to make, in the township of West Orange, $71,000. Did you hear that? $71,000. So if somebody making $71,000 can't afford a car or something, I kind of think that's kind of a biased attitude, if you think. So I'm not being upset with you, Professor, but when you talk about the affordable housing component, just because a development has affordable housing doesn't mean people can't get transportation, cannot afford a car and everything else. And this is not directed at you. It's not directed at you. Okay? The township of Verona. Okay? The township of Verona. Don't wave your hands at me. The township of Verona has affordable housing. You know what their affordable housing income level is? 51,000. So I'm just saying is that, and you can respond to my comment, but I'm saying is the affordable housing component, yes, is a part of it, but should not be the only part of it. So thank you, Professor. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, I'm glad that you made that distinction. And I hope that I didn't come across as saying that affordable units are the only people that would want to not have to drive a car. The walkability is for all income levels. The ability to take a train to New York is for all income levels. The ability to walk around the block with your stroller of your grandchild is for all income levels. This has an affordable housing component to it, so that is something to be openly and honestly addressed, but I'm not implying that the affordable units are the ones that would need to have non-automobile transportation options.
Captain,
Thank you, sir.
thank you. Captain Noberini, do you have any questions? Thank you.
I have a follow-up question.
You have a question?
Yes.
Can I finish?
The council member had a question about the state plan, and I just wanted to ask if you could explain what role you've played in the development of the state plan.
Okay, for the state plan, we have been doing a companion New Jersey map layer for it here, so we can see under the state plan. We have the state plan viewer. This is showing all past, and here we can see the planning area 1 is in the red here, Metro, and this is where we are. Right there is the parcel in question. And this has all kinds of information showing past development. Then we have the Smart Growth Explorer, which is all about future. And this is a map that has the principles of smart growth modeled into something similar that I went through with the report card, but you can actually see the component layers here. So for example, the component layers, this is the model all mixed together. And what it is each layer, this is the state plan. If you're planning area 1, you get 10 points. If you're planning area 2, you get 5 points, 4 points, 3 points. That's one part of the model, right? Another part of the model is centers. If you're a center, you get 25 points. Historic preservation, 1 point. I think it should get more, but that's what they voted. Half mile from recreation, that gets 5 points. Proximity to public facilities, that gets, so you can see we build all these things up, and then you can look at any particular parcel and see what the points are for this. Now, this is not the state plan. This is a companion GIS model that's not, under the state plan law. It's an auxiliary project to help make the state plan be more understandable and usable. Okay, so this way we don't have to wait 21 years to have the map updated. We can update it as needed because it's an appendix. It's not the state plan. But these are planning tools that Rowan has developed to work with this, and then the impact assessment of the state plan as it comes out. I helped write that document as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rizzo, do you have any questions for Professor Hassey on this testimony?
No, Mr. Chair, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Yeah. Mr. Hazel, do you have any questions for Mr.
Yes, if I may.
Hassey on his testimony?
Going back to the state plan, as you mentioned before, and show this area is in PA1. And according to the state plan, what is the area where the plan recommends that most of the state's growth take place in?
In planning area 1.
We're in the process now of updating the state plan, which has been around for quite some time. As far as you're aware, is there any intention to change this area from PA1, which it has been previously?
No, it makes sense for it to stay. The maps will change a little bit as in negotiation with each municipality. There is some little changes here and there with the actual planning map, but this is a broad concept plan. You have planning area 1 through 5B, right? It's not detailed. And in planning area 1, yes, that's where the majority of growth is expected to go because of the infrastructure there. But it doesn't mean every parcel of undeveloped land in planning area 1 should be developed. Correct. There's this idea of environs within planning area 1, which are the sensitive lands to be not developed. And redevelopment is primarily the future of planning area 1.
In terms of the master plan, I think someone had mentioned that before. What is your understanding of the interplay between what you have here and the master plan?
The West Orange master plan?
Any master plan.
Any master plan? Well, a master plan is the vision document by which the zoning ordinance should be fulfilling what the master plan says. So the state plan is kind of a master plan of the master plans. It's like, this is what the state vision is for regional coordination. Now, individual municipalities have their own ability to make their master plan be what they want it to be, but it should be sensitive to and reflecting the goals of the state plan as much as possible. That's the idea of it, but it's not prescribed. The state plan doesn't impose what the local master plan is.
So as we're in the process now, the end process, I guess, of the update of the state plan, is there as we do with local ordinances and things of that sort, is there a requirement or a review to see whether local ordinances contradict or in conflict with the state plan and its goals and objectives?
They have a very small office. They don't have the capacity to review 564 municipalities. So I don't know of any mechanism where it is gauged against the state plan, but I'm sure that if a municipality wanted to have that conversation with the Office of Planning Advocacy, they would probably make that happen, but I don't know that it's prescribed that it has to happen.
Well, having participated in it way too much myself, there is a process in which there is all local ordinances are matched up against the goals and objectives of the state plan, and you identify where there is conflict. Staff of the state plan, Office of Planning Advocacy, does also comment on each. So there is that process where one can indicate whether there's conflict or not. I guess what I'm getting at is,
You're talking about the cross acceptance process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
what I'm getting at is that, is there anything with this development which is in an area that has been zoned for it? Is there anything that you can see that contradicts or conflicts with that plan?
When was the zoning changed to be that this would be able to be built like this?
It was in 2000. I don't recall the years, but
2020.
the state plan, and that's why I asked the first question. The state plan and PA1 designation for this area has been around for well over the past couple of decades, and this was done within that period. So I'm asking, is there anything that you can see with this area that's been zoned accordingly that is in contradiction with any of the goals of the state plan?
I think that the state plan does want to see the important natural resources protected no matter what zone it's in, what planning area it's in. And I can't think of another parcel in the county that has natural resource value to it that's greater than this one. Perhaps there are, but this one certainly stands out as a parcel that has extraordinary conservation worth if it was conserved.
I guess that's my last question. In terms of, New Jersey Land Use Law, MLUL, is there any aspect or is there any provision in the MLUL, the Municipal Land Use Law, that basically gives, I'm just trying to figure out how best to word this, basically gives any ability for someone to does a situation where a proposed development that's in an area where it's zoned for, is there any mechanism, as far as you know, in the MLUL that allows that development not to be permitted based on not meeting any of the smart growth criteria, even though it is permitted in that zone?
That would take a pretty detailed analysis to dig into how the zone is actually written. And that's not something that I've done. It's not something that I typically do. But I do believe that there are a lot of details that have to be done correctly for the for an application to not have grounds to be denied. And so it's possible that there are grounds that could deny this application. That's not something that I have information on, or that I've been able to
But are there
research.
components in the MLUL, like whether an area is a sensitive waterway or something of that sort, that does provide that opportunity for a project or a development not to take place within so many feet or so of sensitive areas like a waterway and things of that sort? I guess what I'm getting at is, beyond the mechanisms that are built into the municipal land use law now, which this and other projects would have to basically comport with, is there anything in this project, as far as you can see, that does not comport with that?
I think that's a question better asked of a land use lawyer. That's not something that I really could testify on, because that's not my expertise.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Do any members of the public have any questions for Professor? I'm sorry, Mr. Blocker, go right ahead, sir.
Thank you. I just have a couple of questions. Thank you very much, Professor. And I do appreciate the map. I use the parcel locator all the time as a land use attorney. So
Okay.
I find it a very valuable tool in doing what I do on a daily basis. I think you might have answered it in your testimony, in your answering your question to Mr. Hazel, but did you review the IH1 zoning ordinance for this property?
No, I did not. No.
Okay. Is it your understanding that the 496 units proposed by the site plan application are permitted by the zoning ordinance?
Yeah.
Brian, you say,
The, You want me to repeat the
I'll
question?
repeat the question because people are having some problem hearing. I believe you said you did not review the IH1 zoning ordinance for this property. Is that correct?
Not in detail. I glanced at it. but
Okay.
no.
Is it your understanding that the 496 units proposed by the site plan application are permitted by the ordinance?
I can't answer that. I don't know. I didn't read it detailed enough to give an answer.
But you do have some kind of planning certification, don't you?
Yeah, I'm AICP. Yeah.
Okay, but you chose not to review the zoning ordinance?
That was not what I was asked to do. Yeah,
Fair enough.
that was not what I-
Thank you very much. And I have one other question. Are you aware that the application proposes preserving 93 acres of the subject site and deeded to the Township of West Orange in perpetuity?
That seems to be what the plan indicates.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Do any members of the public have any questions for Professor Hassey on his testimony? Please come up, state your name and ask your question. You have 3 minutes.
Southwest Letter 17 Howell Drive. Thank you, Professor, for sharing your maps. I've seen it a couple of times online, and now I think I've learned how to use it a little bit better. But a question on slide 8, where you showed the slope, the GT 15. I thought that was interesting because it's something we haven't seen before. Can you zoom in on the upper right-hand corner? And can you explain maybe what slope GT 15% means?
Greater than 15% slope.
I'm sorry, can you?
Let me bring it up in the map so we can actually. The GT in the slide is greater than. So if it's 15, 16, 17, it's greater than 15% slope. So percent slope is the length over the height rise of the parcel there.
Okay, so in a layman's term, what does that mean, kind of? Sorry, I'm not.
It's how steep the slope is.
Okay,
So it's the slopes that are 15% or higher are considered steep slopes.
so if we were to zoom in even closer up towards Howell Drive on the right-hand side there, upper right-hand corner of the parcel. Yep, right there, keep going. So where the cul-de-sac is, if you can move the pointer maybe, parcels, thank you. So what we're looking at there is what we're saying is that's where building D might be up in that corner when you looked at it.
I believe it's just above the steep slope area. in this
Okay.
Area here.
Okay, so I just want to zoom in again. So the houses below building D, we're showing 15% or greater of very steep slopes there, correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay, and that would be the parcels. You can see the houses. I think that's, I can't read them, but whatever blocks those are, but those would be the houses of where I live and my neighbors live. Okay, thank you for sharing what that means. And then my other last question is on slide number 9. Can you just give the definition of what a protect important soils, like what is that mean?
So
Productive forest soils. Yeah.
the Natural Resources Conservation Service is a federal agency that maps and monitors soils. And so they have mapped the entire country, and they have a set of soil mapping for New Jersey. And each soil type is in their database of having a certain productivity, a certain water retention, a certain texture that can be translated to how well forests will grow there, how productive. It's generally done in the case of whether it's productive woodlots, but it's giving you a soil fertility indication. It'd be equivalent of prime farm soils. New Jersey also has a farm soils map, and the prime soils are the ones that are most productive. And so it's a goal of the Farmland Preservation Program to try to save the best, most fertile soils. This is showing forest productivity because this is a forested area. So it's a map, a model that's taking the soils data and showing you which ones are the most productive. The ones that are green are the 1A, the ones that are purple, light purple as 1B, So that's, the highest, and then the second tier, and the third tier would be the 1C. You can see some orange up here. Yellow is 2A, which is least, and then you have saturated soils, which is a different category. It's not necessarily better than or
So things could grow there, trees and things can mature and.
yeah, it's good for trees. It may not be good for farmland. It's good for trees.
Thank you very much. Your time is up. The next person, come up, please ask any questions. Does anybody else have any questions for Professor Hassey on his testimony? Please come up. You have 3 minutes.
Hi, Victor Massardi. I live on Mayfair Drive.
Could you speak up, sir? Could you speak up, sir?
Oh, sure.
Thank you.
Okay. I have a question about the smart development regarding the wetlands and the Canoe Brook. Like, for instance, the Canoe Brook goes down to the, these reservoirs that are drinking water. And I was just wondering what smart conservation has to say about that.
Well, I think the point that was trying to make about that is that that the headlands of the stream begin in this parcel, and the headwaters of any stream are where the stream quality and the stream quantity begin. Right. So if the hydrology changes on this parcel, it could potentially have impacts downstream. And so this is showing the stream and the stream buffers, but we also have the FEMA firm maps and the FEMA +3 feet. So you can see further down the stream, these orange areas are now the new DEP calculated FEMA +3 because of the increased amount and variability of rain, that these areas can be considered at risk for flooding. You can see how that area has expanded with this expanded orange area there. So these houses will likely be impacted if there is a significant stormwater.
I'm going to object to that testimony. He did say he's not an engineer.
I'm not an engineer. I am a geographer, and we do map the floodplain.
So for the record, there's some yellow on the map. We got it. Thank you.
So can I say also the +3 means the normal water level +3 feet higher if it was flooding?
The FEMA +3 is a New Jersey DEP mapping that took the FEMA firm maps. Those are the insurance maps that FEMA has produced. They have their own modeling that they do that. And the DEP has created a model where they raise the elevation 3 feet from that FEMA flood zone and say, where does that stretch out to beyond that? Because that's the type of flooding that there has been an increase in.
Great, thank you.
Rain.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Do any of the members of the public have any questions for Professor Hassey on his testimony? Please come up and be identified. You have 3 minutes. Go right ahead.
Good evening. Megan Kuhlman, Township of Verona. So I wanted to thank you, Professor, for your presentation. Very informative. And thank you for giving us such a great overview of smart conservation priorities. So one that really jumped out to me was number 7, which was mitigating flood risk. And you also mentioned that as the hydrology changes in an area, and as it changes for this site, it will probably change the hydrology for downstream. So obviously recognizing that you are not a stormwater expert, I was curious if you were to give a smart growth grade to number 7, mitigating flood risk for this property, what would you give it?
Probably, I would give it a C- or a D. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, do any of the members of the public have any questions for Professor Hassey on his testimony? Please come up and be identified. And you have 3 minutes.
My name is Barbara White. I live on Howard Drive. If you could go back to the slide that you showed us that had the steep slope, that's where my question is. Yeah. The slide with steep slope. And then if you could go in and zoom in on the area that is nearest Howell Drive
Okay, I'm gonna go back to the map because I can't really zoom on the slide, but I can zoom on the map.
Okay,
Am I in the right place?
you're in the right place. So part of what we have learned over time is there are two lots on Howell that may be used for an emergency exit. And what I wanted to see kind of for myself, and it does appear to be that they may well be in the steep slope area that is greater than 15%. What I wanted to see is whether or not the areas where the two lots are that could potentially be the emergency exit areas and what their steep slope is. It's in the cul-de-sac.
Again,
Yeah, I don't know if you have enough detail to be able to point out those exact two lots, but it does appear from what you showed us that those lots may well be in steep slope, or at least partial steep slope.
this is, it seems like, and it's really hard because these are not, detailed. It seems like the steep slope starts just to the east of where the building, footprint is. And so that means that you can see the cul-de-sac right here. This is just a screenshot from the proposal that's online. So I can't really zoom around here, but it seems like this is the access point here. And, you know, I guess the developer's attorney can testify if that's, testify. Okay.
All right, so my question is, and I don't think you have it here for us to see, is if you were to overlay your steep slope map to that, are those lots, in steep slope or not? And I don't know again if that can be shown tonight, but that was the question I have.
I don't have the ability to bring the proposed plan into NJ map very easily. It would take a lot of work. So it seems like though it may be to the west of the steep slope area.
Okay, thank you. That's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Do any other members of the public have any questions for Professor Hassey on his testimony? Please come up. You have 3 minutes.
Deborah Drews. Hi,
Could you
I'm Deborah
speak into the
Drews.
microphone, please?
When you were describing the types of soil,
Get your name.
Deborah Drews. Druce. After Hurricane Sandy came, many trees in that area fell down and the land has shifted. There's sidewalks that have turned up. The things that for the proposed houses have split apart. My question is, in that land, when you're talking about the soil and the headwaters, what is the characteristics of the shifting of land and the stability of that area in terms of even having trees stand up, land stay still, and having foundations there?
I'm sorry, I don't think he testified to anything about foundations or geology.
No, because when you look at types of soil, some soils have are shift, they have a base underneath it. Can you describe that for that area where you have headwaters and things like that?
Yeah, that is beyond my expertise, like soil structure and the ability to have foundations. But it is important for residents to be documented and taking pictures when these things happen, so there's a record of it. These maps, even the engineering maps, even the FEMA maps, all of them are a model, and it's a good representation, but it's a representation. So having real evidence and having a record is important. So it's good to be recounting these things that happen. But I can't speak to the nature of the soils.
So how do you take those observations and account for, like, over a period of 20 years, how the land shifts and holds things up? How do you do that?
That's a good question. Yeah, you would have to have somebody that would have more expertise be able to do that. But yeah.
Thank you. Do any other member of the public have any questions for Professor Hassey on his testimony? Please step up. You have 3 minutes.
Bob Sharonell, SHARENOW in the Highlands. Based on everything that you gave us at the beginning and asking us to kind of do a little report card, if we had a total good report card in school, we could get 100 out of it. In your opinion, based on everything you know and all that you asked us to grade, can you give us a grade on what this property would be?
Again, then there's two report cards. There's the smart growth aspects of it. Does it have a design and a location that would be having the characteristics of smart growth?
Okay, let's take that part of the report
That
card.
part of it. This would be very poor. My students would grade this as a D.
Thank
probably.
you.
Yeah.
Everybody hear that, right? The other part you were talking about, how would your students grade it?
As a parcel for potential for conservation, it's up there. It's up to B plus. And its size and the fact that it's the remaining open space in the whole county are all factors that are important.
So it could stay that way, correct?
I think that there's so little of it left that it would be.
I think everybody in the room agrees with that. Thank you.
Okay, do any member of the public have any questions? Please come up and be identified. You have 3 minutes.
Seth Westletter, 17 Howell. A question, the map that we're looking at, does that also show what it looked like 2 years ago and if that slope increased at all and increased in size, the steepness of it?
No,
You don't have any, there's no like if you're watching a satellite weather map and it's moving across, do you have any depiction over the last 3
With the geology, no. They fly this with LiDAR, which is laser, and that's only done occasionally. It's done like a one-off. So this data is the most recent data done on this laser-based measurement of the elevation of the land surface, but that's probably 5 years old as it is. So the elevation data does not get updated. The aerial imagery for the state only gets updated every 5 years because it's expensive and it's involved. But the elevation data doesn't change that much. And so, maybe there'll be an update within the next 10 years. I don't know, but it's not a year-to-year monitoring of slope.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Do any member of the public have any questions for Professor Hassey on his testimony? Please come up and be identified.
Good evening. I know what your testimony is and I appreciate it. Jack McAvoy, I'm from Verona. I'm actually on the Verona Town Council. I'm the deputy mayor of Verona. The affordable housing question came up and one of the members of the board were stating some numbers on affordable housing and how they differ from town to town. I'm surprised that no one else in the room brought this up as when he was testifying to this or asking the question. Numbers are no different in Verona than they are in West Orange. You stated like a $10,000 to $12,000 difference from 74,000. Verona 61,000. We're both in Region 2, and we're subject to the same rules and regulations from the state of New Jersey. So I just wanted to come up here and clarify that.
Sir,
Yes.
this is to ask a question, not testify. This is to ask a question,
There's
sir.
some inaccuracy.
Mr. Deputy Mayor, Mr. Deputy Mayor, listen to me, please. This is to ask a question of the person who testified, not to make a statement. There'll be time for public comment.
Okay, my question is, where did you get the numbers then?
Okay,
If you're
that's fair.
saying inaccurate numbers, where did you get
That's
the
fair.
numbers? And I'm sorry to bring you involved in this because your testimony was brilliant.
Thank you.
You don't have
Well, one of your school board members gave me that total. One of your school board members told me how many kids came in to that development to your school system. Okay, so that's where I got the number from. Don't look at me like I got 3 heads on my.
Okay. Great. You can ask him about affordable
Testimony
housing.
from a school board member has nothing to do with this case. And I could state numbers for the record because I have it here, but you're talking numbers far above what you stated. 86,000 is low income.
Vice Chairman.
And low to moderate income is 86, excuse me. Low income is 54,000 and very low income is 32,000. It's the same throughout every town and it should.
Thank you very much, sir.
It is. We understand.
Okay. What am I thinking?
Hi, Deidre Dyson, Slayback and Howell Drive. My question is for the people that are underneath. I am across the street from the cul-de-sac and everything. And the people, we've had floods. Last summer, we had a really horrible rainstorm that caused the asphalt to come up and all the stuff there. My question is, in your opinion, are the people that live lower down below where that big building is going to be built, are they going to have, whether they have flood insurance now or not?
He didn't.
They,
sorry,
are
I'm
they in
sorry.
trouble
Wait,
with the
wait,
flood
stop.
insurance?
Oh, I'm sorry. He didn't testify to flood insurance. He didn't testify to flooding. There were other people, other experts that testified on both sides to that.
Okay,
So
you guys
I,
put
I
that
believe
answer.
that he's the wrong person. Thank you. Thank you very much. Do any of the members of the public have any questions based on what he has, Mr. Hassey has, Professor Hassey has testified to? Go right ahead.
Good
State your
evening,
name for the
Jessica Pearson Verona. How are you?
Oh.
Thank you for your testimony. It was really enriching. My question regards, I guess, sort of the controversy that was brought up in the very beginning of your testimony when the applicant's attorney started to ask you questions regarding your affiliation with the NJDEP, whether or not you have one. As well, I guess I want to know who utilizes, besides me, this model? What other faculties throughout the state, who relies on this intrinsically to come up with data and to make determinations? Can you give us some of your references besides, not the DEP?
Yeah,
Who
so
else uses this? Because I think that they complement one another when
Yeah.
I use them, but
we really don't know exactly who's using it. We get like counts of thousands of users per month that are using this. We get an idea throughout the state that they're being used. A lot of the information about what people finding it useful is anecdotal, but I am getting 3,000, 4,000 hits, which for a private website, it's not private, well, it's for a state website, the state university website that's showing mapping, it's way exceeds other mapping programs that are out there. So a lot of people are using it. It's primarily the conservation community and the planning board community that I know of, again, by people telling me that they appreciate it.
you integrated FEMA data into your system, correct?
We have hundreds of layers. Some of them come from federal, some of them come from state, some of them are models that we build. But we do have federal data, and FEMA is an important
And
layer.
FEMA is one of them?
Yes.
When you go to the general DEP's site and you look for the FEMA data, I'm generally redirected to the FEMA mapping system. It's not integrated. Have you found the same to be true?
Well, the DEP has their own FEMA adjusted model.
Yes.
That I mentioned. It's a FEMA plus
But it-
3.
In one.
That's a good question, because I just use the FEMA plus 3 model from the DEP. I haven't looked on the DEP's web mapping site whether they have both of them. So that's a good question.
I don't want to testify, but
That's good. Don't.
I'm redirected.
Okay,
Yeah,
please don't
okay.
testify.
But your site integrates them both. Thank you.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yes,
Do any
you
of
can
the
use my
public have any
website, get them
questions
both.
for Professor Hassey on his testimony? Please come up and be identified. You have 3 minutes.
One of my client's officers asked me, Professor Hassey, if you could zoom in for a moment on the Howell Drive area. I think that's in the center on the bottom of the forest, the red area. Top right, I'm sorry.
Top right, where we've
Yeah,
been
go
looking.
further into the top right, go closer if you
Right
can,
here, see how-
to Howell Drive, that's it. Okay, can you hold that just one moment?
Sure.
Mr. Efron, why don't we let the public ask their questions and then you guys can come back?
Below the cul-de-sac, there's a small rectangular red, exactly right there. That's part of the steep slope diagram, right?
This is a lot of different layers turned on here, right? So what we have is, we have property parcels, and then those are in white. And then we have, I believe the landscape outlines that are showing the landscape patches, because there's different types of forest that are identified, so it's not all the same. So these are identifying different stands of forest species that are just an outline there, because you want to be able to see the aerial image in between it. So that's what's causing a little bit of maybe confusion in that it's not the parcel line that you're seeing, it's a forest mapping edge that's creating this one here.
No, I understand that, but right under the cul-de-sac, there is a red rhombus type shape right there.
That red is just
Yeah.
indicating that those pixels are 15% or greater. It's a little patch of 15%.
That's what I wanted to clarify.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Not part of the
Can I ask a question while we're there?
Okay, leave that there. Mr. Blocker. Mr. Blocker.
If you can zoom in again, please.
The same spot?
Yeah, no, just back out a little bit so we see some of the homes on Howell Drive. A little more, back out. Yeah, so I just wanted to confirm, so the red area are steep slopes that are greater than 15%?
Correct.
Okay, so all those houses where we see red surrounding, they were built on slopes greater than 15%?
Or they are having slopes around the house that are greater than 15%. But these
Okay.
houses were built before there was any steep slope regulation or recommendation. So that was done in a former time.
Okay, those houses are still there today, as far as you know, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, and just one more question about, you were talking about forested areas. Would any of the GIS mapping take into consideration the condition of the forest on the ground level?
What do you mean on the ground level?
Deer browse, would these maps pick that up?
That's kind of a site-specific type of thing. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Mr. Efron?
Objection to the last question, because the fact that on some lots there may be steep slopes does not mean houses can't be built on them. It also doesn't mean that the houses are on the steep slope. Mr. Plucker's trying to create the impression that somehow these houses are sitting there on the steep slopes. No one would ever build them on the slope itself.
He just asked the question. He didn't leave an impression, just
Okay.
like you do, sir.
I'm just clarifying the impression that he didn't leave.
We're just leaving it the way it was.
Fair enough.
Question
Thank you.
With an answer. Thank you. Sir, please come right up.
My name is Michael Marucci, Marucci. Professor, thank you very much for your testimony and your lecture this evening. On one of your slides, and you passed over it very briefly, but it seems significant to me, you indicated that this development would add an additional 2,700 or more auto trips daily. Is that correct?
No.
Objection, you can testify as a traffic engineer.
It is.
Stop.
Number of trips that the record shows. And so that was part of his testimony. There was no objection on this.
Let's go
It
back to
was
that slide.
testimony.
Wait a second, hold it. Take it easy. Let's go back to the slide and see what the slide says. Okay? That's gonna, and then we'll figure it out.
I don't remember which one. The streetscape.
I want to go to the slide.
Wait, I think you just passed it.
No,
That's the
not
distance
slide.
one.
Sorry.
I know which one it is.
Very close.
There we
There
go.
it is.
Okay. Where did that number come from, sir?
That number came from the engineer that's going to testify.
So let the engineer testify. That's not your slide. That's not your information then.
Well,
He did, yeah, it's not
Okay.
testimony yet. You put it up somebody else's information, therefore you didn't testify knowing that you're an expert in traffic.
No, I'm not an expert in
Good.
traffic, but this is not trying to be creating an exact number. This is trying to give a sense of the trips per day that this layout would cost. And my original number was actually just based on the
Let
average
the
trip
expert testify,
for,
please.
for,
Number of bedroom.
You-
Let the expert testify. We'll
For
get to
house
that.
units.
There's a traffic expert that will testify this evening.
Where does that leave me?
Your answer is coming shortly.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Do any other member of the public have any questions? Seeing none. Done. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I hope that's the lady.
I'm not arguing. I'm not arguing. Okay.
Bring it to the next meeting.
No, we have.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, here and on Zoom, we're going to take a 5-minute break.
You have to be careful what you say. Because he's right, it's a state model, it's not a town model.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and Zoom and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, on Zoom and here in chambers. We're back on the record. Mr. Efron. Councilwoman Scarpa. She'll be back shortly. Okay. Mr. Efron will be back shortly also, I guess. I hear it. You have another. You have another.
He wants to do that resolution.
Your resolution.
Mr. Chairman, we're going to call a member of the South Orange Environmental Commission to read a statement. Her name is Juliana. Excuse me. We're going to call a member of the South Orange Environmental Commission to read a statement of the commission. The member's name is Juliana Gareff.
Thank you.
I believe the statement was previously emailed to council. I don't know if Mr. Plaka received a copy.
No, I never get sent anything for the record. Thank you.
But remember, if I got it or not, I don't have a copy of it with me, so we're gonna submit it.
This would be, I believe we'll make it.
23,
23.
and this is, what are we calling it?
South Orange.
Presentation of the South Orange Environmental Commission read by member Juliana Guerrero. Bruce G.A. Oh, she's.
Okay.
And her last name is spelled Garreffa.
Okay, ma'am, are you representing, do you have the authority, Mr. Efron? Mr. Efron, hi.
Sorry.
Do you have the authority to represent the South Orange Environmental Commission? Are you an officer?
I am one of the environmental commissioners of South Orange Village, and our chair, Kathleen Grant, could not be here today, so I am here in her stead.
So
We need to swear you in.
Sure.
Please give us your full name and spell your last name.
My name is Juliana Gareffa. My last name is spelled Garreffa.
Ms. Garaffa, please raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. You were going to read a statement?
Yes. So as I said, with the support of our village council liaison, the South Orange Environmental Commission has written this statement. Dear Mayor McCartney, members of West Orange Town Council and Planning Board, the South Orange Environmental Commission has reviewed and discussed the development proposed by Garden Homes on the 120-acre property at Block 179, Lot 32, known as the West Essex Highlands. Together, we have reached the conclusion that the proposed development would be harmful to the surrounding communities. As such, we formally urge the Township of West Orange to deny this application and preserve, to the best of their abilities, the 120-acre forest at the second Watchung Mountain and Ridge. Our reasoning includes the following facts. The 120-acre property at Block 179, Lot 32, known as the West Essex Highlands, is a core forest, a critical environmental facet of Essex County, New Jersey, providing essential habitat and water resources. And waters from this forested land feed the Canoe Brook tributary and replenish critical aquifers that contribute to New Jersey American Water, providing drinking water for 2.9 million New Jersey residents in more than 190 communities. And replacing old growth trees that filter groundwater with impervious surfaces causes extensive surface runoff containing sediment, chemicals, and microplastics into this drinking water source. And such runoff can lead to turbidity spikes, harmful algal blooms, and higher pathogen levels in this drinking water source. And the roughly 19,000 residents of South Orange receive their drinking water from the Canoe Brook. And residential neighborhoods surrounding and adjacent to this core forest are flood prone, experience repeated flood events, and exist in the 0.2% annual chance, that's 500-year FEMA floodplain. And open space properties and parklands downstream from this property contain floodways and or exist in the 1% annual chance, that's 100-year FEMA floodplain, and experience repeated flood events. And urban flooding can occur in places that are well outside of map floodplains and can be caused by rain falling on increased amounts of impervious surfaces, overwhelming the capacity of drainage systems. And this forest contains tens of thousands of trees, providing green infrastructure for stormwater management, as well as providing for the absorption of carbon dioxide, the production of oxygen, and relief from heat island effect and essential ecological habitat. And the proposed removal of untold number of trees will exacerbate flooding, degrade the core forest, and displace hundreds of native species. And the applicant, to our knowledge, is not adhering to the most current stormwater rules, and as such are not planning on-site stormwater management that would act to better protect all surrounding properties. Given all this, the South Orange Environmental Commission echoes its formal call to the Township of West Orange to reject the proposed 496-unit development on said lands and to preserve the 120 acres of forested land in perpetuity. We will send a copy of this letter to the Township of West Orange, Mayor McCartney, the West Orange Council, and the West Orange Planning Board. Sincerely, the South Orange Environmental Commissioners.
Thank you.
May I note for the record that the letter is listed as the members of the commission and is signed by Kathleen Grant, the chair, and is signed by Olivia Lewis Chang, the South Orange Village council member who is the liaison to the commission.
Thank you.
And one of our environmental commissioners is also on the South Orange Planning Board.
Thank you.
So is well aware of planning board matters.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Gruff. We appreciate it.
Thanks.
Good.
Next. We call Michelle Byers. Her thumb drive, I think, is with Mr. Fagan. Just by way of introduction, Ms. Byers is the retired executive director of the New Jersey Conservation, Foundation. That's the same organization that currently employs Dr. DeVito, who testified on forestry matters. And she'll be testifying as to the preservation value of this particular site, not in terms of asking this council, which it doesn't have the authority to do, to designate it for preservation, but to speak of the preservation value because that relates to the need to avoid ecological harm under the MLUL and under the ordinance as we view the ordinance. Ms. Byers, you need to be sworn in.
Ms.
Thank you.
Byers, would you please wait? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes,
Would you please state your name and spell your last name for the record?
sure. Michelle Simone Byers, Byers.
Ms. Byers, I understand you had been the executive director of the New Jersey. I just need to qualify you.
Okay.
I understand you've been the executive director of the New Jersey Conservation Foundation. Is that correct?
Yes,
And for how many years did you hold that position?
20.
When did you retire?
2021.
2021?
Mhm.
And I also understand you had served a term or terms on the State Planning Commission.
Yes, for 10 years, I was the vice chair of the New Jersey State Planning Commission. I was appointed by Governor Whitman.
In terms of your professional work, what role did preservation of land play in the work you did at the Conservation Foundation?
The Conservation Commission is to resources throughout New Jersey for the benefit of all, and was in charge of the staff of 37 professionals, and we worked to preserve land throughout New Jersey during my tenure. We preserved over 60,000 acres.
And what role did you play in the preservation of that land in your capacity as director?
Really guiding the staff into providing a vision for what our land acquisition program should be, where we should acquire land, for what purposes, and how it should be managed for the public. So I pretty much laid out the vision, and I encouraged and empowered the staff to effectuate the program.
Thank you. We offer Ms. Byers as a witness in the field of preservation value of land. And again, we're not asking this board to designate the land or value it numerically. She's speaking in terms of the ecological value that our position is that it must be avoided through the site plan application.
Hang on.
Okay.
This has nothing to do with the zone plan. I understand where you're going, but it has nothing to do with the zone plan. And though it is in the MLUL,
Speak up.
though it is in the MLUL, it is not directly related to our zone plan. So if it's not directly related to the zone plan, it's very nice. We understand the things that you're going to say. It has been proffered by many of the experts that have been here, but saying these things, it is not adding to the information by experts that the board will use to judge.
Well,
So
it's not necessary that it relates directly to the zone plan. That is not this board's only responsibility. This board has a responsibility under the MLUL to recognize and evaluate and avoid undue ecological harm. In fact, the expert for the planner, in fact, conceded that where a zoning ordinance eliminates or does not even have provisions for ecological protection, the MLUL specifically requires that a board analyze site plan applications for such purposes. And so this board's focus is not limited solely to the zone plan. If that were the case, a vast array of testimony that comes here would never come about.
And
Traffic analysis, for example.
MLUL also recommends using experts, which we've had. So when we have, not to say that you're not credible, however, the MLUL also lets us use experts for those issues. And then we can use objective information and testing that's presented to the board. So again, I am not saying that your information is not valuable. It is just not expert testimony, and it is used as basic public comment. Somebody who has worked in the area, I see this, I know that, I saw this, as opposed to these are the criteria that anybody can use to judge this. It is set by standard or by ordinance, by law, which is not what we're talking about here. This is somebody who's looked at things and worked in the area. Again, I understand that, but the board has to have expert information based on the zone plan and the state plan. And so the state planning board, as has been testified, doesn't tell us this is not an area or is an area to be used. That's why we're listening to all this information. So I'm going to ask our counsel to weigh in on this.
Okay, so my biggest issue is this testimony sounds like it was testimony that should have been presented at the time when the ordinance was being developed, because it's a challenge to the ordinance itself.
That is not our purpose.
well,
Our purpose is.
Let me finish,
Okay.
okay? So if you're the board can't void out this ordinance because environmentally they think it has a better idea of what should have been there or what should have been done, first of all. Second of all, this is private property. This isn't this isn't conservation property. It's owned by an individual who wants to develop it and has an ordinance that establishes that he can develop it or they can develop it in accordance with that ordinance. So again, we're going back to the genesis of the ordinance and whether it was good planning or not, and that's not what the board can do. The board is only listening to whether this application satisfies the ordinance, and whether there are certain things about this application that just can't be done, which won't facilitate this project. And you know the case law. If something is being presented and there's no information whatsoever provided in the record that water can get to this site, or that certain aspects that we couldn't get electricity out there, that it was too remote. That's not what we're dealing with this witness. I don't understand. You have to give us a proffer as to why this is related to what the board is allowed to consider.
Well, let me respond then. I appreciate those comments. First of all, just because a developer owns land, and just because a developer has the right to develop, does not mean the developer has a free hand. The developer is constrained by an enormous range of rules, regulations, and public policy requirements, some of which are specific in the MLUL. Now, just because an ordinance may have lifted most or even all of the ordinary environmental requirements in the township for developers does not mean the board does not have a duty to analyze the risk of environmental harm and whether it's necessary to avoid it. The MLUL specifically requires that analysis. And if a town council should remove, in my view foolishly, all of those requirements, the MLUL stands as the required source of guidance, and the board still must conduct the environmental analysis. And so when we have a land preservation professional who has spent her career determining whether land is suited and necessary for preservation because of its qualities, that relates directly to the policy mandate the board must adhere to under the MLUL, which is to look at a site plan application for avoidance of ecological harm or major ecological harm. And so when a land preservation professional says, this is land that has certain preservation value that normally would be sought in the profession for protection, that informs the board of the value of the land in terms of the need to avoid environmental and ecological harm. And so it is directly within the purview of the board's analysis and duty. Just because she's not offering specific data points doesn't mean she does not have expertise that's within the board's need to hear and the right of the objectors to offer.
I still think it goes to challenging the genesis of the ordinance to begin with, but not.
Well, with respect,
We've also heard from people on stormwater management, on forestry, on birds, small animals, the environment, geologists, planners. So we have heard each one of the areas that the MLUL specifically prescribes. So saying now that the board should listen and take note that we may take away the right of the applicant to continue their application because we feel, the board feels that the state was wrong, the county was wrong, and the township is wrong, that, and you may challenge this in another venue, but the board is looking at, do the buildings fulfill the requirements or not? Does the area maintain or enhance stormwater management? Is the forest going to be salvageable? Are the buildings going to be useful? Is there enough roadway? Is there enough safety, health, and welfare to build in this area? So saying to us now, we should now add on another layer, again, this is my opinion, and anybody on the board can chime in, that we should add on another layer and say, well, we've decided that we should, now personally, each one of us may have a different view, but we have to go by the ordinance and the law and the MLUL, which says you may look at it. Absolutely.
So
And we
yes,
have,
okay.
and we have through each expert looked at each part and parcel of this. So I don't know how this is going to, I don't know that this is under our purview. That's the issue that I have. I'm not saying it's not under somebody's purview, but it doesn't stand in the MLUL that this specifically is. And
well, not everything is specifically set forth in a statute. What we do in law typically is we look at the policy goal in a statute, and then we have to apply that to different instances when evidence is offered. Now, I'm not suggesting, by the way, Mr. Chairman, that the board has not heard ecological evidence. Certainly it has. I'm simply suggesting that this evidence is somewhat different in focus and is directly related to the same subject matter. And just because the board has heard evidence in this field doesn't mean it should not hear evidence of this nature. But I'm not suggesting the board has not heard such evidence, and I hope that I didn't come off sounding like that.
And just for the, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And just for the record, if this expert is going to testify about conservation and preservation of the property, I believe Mr. DeVito, who already testified, went there, and I believe when he asked what his solution was, and excuse me if I'm paraphrasing, he said he would preserve and buy the whole thing or something like that. And so they made their position clear, and we understand that, and the board should understand that as well.
I would just like to step in and just clarify one thing. After I left the Conservation Foundation, I was charged with preparing a plan for the future of the state of New Jersey for preservation. It's called Nature for All, and I analyzed all the lands that have been preserved over the last, as John talked about in his report, say 30 years or so, what the Green Acres program did, the farmland program did, et cetera, and what's remaining, what is the remaining challenges ahead. And the other thing I looked very closely at were ecosystem benefits of lands. So people talk about vacant land, but it's not vacant, it's providing service. So the report I did goes into detail on ecosystem services of land, provides a context for looking at this property in the context of what's left in the state of New Jersey and what's important. And I think it is important for the planning board to understand when they're making a decision that it is in that greater context. It's not just looking at every little technical aspect. It's looking at what this land provides and what the opportunity that those benefits will be taken away. So I just wanted to put that in there. It's what I have to show are a few slides from the report that give that overview.
If you can focus only on this piece of land, you can go ahead. If you focus on other areas of New Jersey, I'm going to have to stop you because we're focused on this piece of land and the minutia of this piece of land. That's what we're here to do.
Okay, I can jump through that
Go
quickly.
right ahead. Okay.
Okay.
We'll listen as long as it's on this piece of land.
Without agreeing that that's a proper ruling, we understand it.
But that is my ruling.
I'll do my best
Thank
to
you.
focus.
Thank you.
Okay, so Nature for All, that's the title of the report. This is, I don't know if you know, one from Kenya. She was a champion in preserving land in Kenya, and I think the statement there goes without saying that we all need to provide a future for the future children that's sustainable. So New Jersey is the Garden State. I'm not going to go into all of this, but the premise of the report is that it's a key piece. And land is scarce source. It's not vacant land. It's a complete misnomer. Every piece of land in New Jersey that's not developed is providing services. I'm not going to go through all this because, as we said, we're going to focus on the but I do think this slide is really important. 34% is preserved, 38% developed. There's about 1% left. That means which this 120 acres is a part of that is providing ecosystem services for the region. Calls for preserving 50% of the best of the remaining lands, about 500,000 acres, of which this 120 acres would be part of.
Ms. Bias, just make sure you use the microphone because we're missing some of.
So thank you. The citizenship is a separate.
You're getting feedback, so you have to use the
Sorry.
mic, but not so much.
Sorry, I'm trying. I'm trying. Okay, I'm not going to go into this slide because we're trying to focus. And I will just extrapolate this. You guys have two futures ahead of you here. One is looking at the fate of this property. What will be the fate of this 120 acres? Right now, you're right, it's in private ownership, but I have to tell you that over my career, over 40 years, every single piece of property that we looked at for preservation was in private ownership. And ultimately, it always depends on a willing seller. But that's what the game is about, is going after these properties. I guess I'm too close and too far. Sorry. Sorry, I'll try harder. So these are the wrong slides for you. I'm going to skip right through it. About climate change, justice, biodiversity, we've talked about that. People in nature, we haven't heard too much about that. But we're losing connection to nature, and it's a major challenge for humanity. Here you can see all of the lands in bush color are lands that are available for preservation. All right, here's the thing. We've talked a little bit about this, but this property provides essential ecosystem services to the community. It protects and cleanses the drinking water supplies, not just to the West Orange, but to the 23,000 people in Essex Fells who depend on that drinking water, and further down into the Caldwells and down to the New Jersey American Water Supply. So that's an incredibly important piece of information that this 120 acres is providing. It's improving air quality by sucking up pollutants and sequestering them. We talked about wildlife habitat, not going to go there. We talked about flooding. We talked about soil protection, carbon sequestration. You guys all probably know all about this, but these actually are services that have been quantified economically by many agencies all over the country, providing financial benefits, because you can't put a price on some of these things, and when you do, it's astronomical. Outdoor recreation opportunities and scenic beauty, the heat island effect, we've talked about that. Human health, we talked about that. Access to nature, the economic benefits, buffers from the impacts of adjacent development, increased resilience from climate change. That's probably one of the most important ecosystem services that this property provides. It's the resiliency, the place for rain and stormwater to go. And the last one, I think people don't even talk about very much, but the awe, curiosity, and a sense of connection to nature is part of being human, and we're losing that as a culture. So every bit of open space left, especially in built-up communities like West Orange, is absolutely critical to the future. So kids have a place to go and experience nature. They don't have to, go to the Grand Canyon. They can come right here in South Orange. So again, this is the key point. 1.4 million acres of available lands that aren't either preserved or developed are providing these services. And this piece is 120 acres is part of that. If those lands are lost, if this 120 acres is lost, those services will be degraded. And what we think of now as having, a somewhat decent quality, environmental quality in New Jersey will be degraded if a significant number of those lands are not preserved. So when I look at determining suitability.
I'm going to interrupt you for a second. I said this has to be of this site, West Orange. Is this used for every piece of land that is open space in the state of New Jersey?
Yes.
Okay, stop right there. This
Doesn't mean that it doesn't apply to the 120 here in West Orange.
I understand you're asking her testimony to focus these factors
Correct.
on the relevance of this site.
Correct. This is on every piece of open space in the state of New Jersey. These
So-
slides are, listen to me, these slides are not made specifically for West Orange.
No, but the witness understood that because your ruling constrained her, which we understand.
Correct.
She's going to limit her testimony.
22 slides,
to
not
the-
one of West Orange or this site. 22 slides, not one of West Orange or this site.
She spoke, though, of the value of the site and the ecological services.
We
that
understand
this
that,
site
and you've had witnesses to testify to that already, many. We've listened on both sides. We're not saying no.
Okay.
What I am saying is this is not focused on West Orange. It is not focused on this property. And we need to hear things about this property specifically that we haven't heard before.
Well, I understand your ruling, and I'm suggesting
That's
the
good.
witness should address those factors as it applies to this property.
22 slides, we haven't heard that yet.
I think you have. I think you've heard specifically how, well, I'll leave it
Any
stand as
open
it is.
space can fill that requirement. any open space. Any
20 acres of core forest.
any of these slides made specifically for West Orange.
Yes, I did the whole thing for West Orange.
So none of these slides were used in anything else specifically for West Orange.
Some of them were part of an overall program, but this one I did specifically for West Orange. I should have put the title on the top and then we would be having this conversation.
This is specifically for West Orange.
Yes.
Fine, go right ahead.
So looking at this site, what I would look at is what are the factors for determining its suitability for preservation? And, you know, John talked a little bit about this in his program, but number one is location, its proximity and or connectivity to other preserved lands. And then looking at the lack of or deficit of preserved open space in the community. I can show you on another slide how this is there's a big, enormous hole in the donut where there is really very little preserved open space. It does have potential for linkages. We talked about that. It has potential for connecting up large landscapes. It's got significant natural resource features, including its core forest habitat. You guys know this. The degree of threat from development is high in this situation, not simply because of the proposal that is on your plate, but also for all of the other things that are impacting lands around the state. Nature in your neighborhood is an incredibly important community resource, and this would make a huge asset for West Orange to have a 120-acre forest in the middle of its community. I talked about the ecosystem services are enormous, and that's an important part of a factor for determining its suitability for preservation. And then looking at competing demands for other public purposes. You can't look at a piece of property like this in a vacuum and not look at all the other public demands that are there, including affordable housing. And, you know, who knows, fire hall, library, et cetera. And then looking at what the community goals and plans are for that property. So I looked at all of those in respect to the West Orange property, and I looked at the indicators for smart growth, and I'm not going to repeat this because I think John did a really good job. But these are the things that I would look at and looked at for this property as well. And then you saw that slide already. These are some very specific slides that come from the New Jersey map that depict the property. You've seen it. It's right in the middle there, the green rectangle. And this is the flood corridor map that John already presented. You can see right again the buildings that hit the site. And here is core forests. These are core forests in the region. Let's go back to the right. This is the last remaining core forest that's not under preservation in all of Essex County. And I think that is probably one of the most important pieces of all of this. Core forest is an incredibly important resource, and there's very little of it left in the region. This is a composite slide that shows the steep slopes and the wetlands. One other thing I just want to mention about forests and threat. In New Jersey, upland forests like this forest have no protection. You know, resources that are protected in New Jersey include wetlands buffers, but not endangered species, et cetera. But upland forests like this have virtually no protection. And that's another reason why it's so important to target this property for preservation. Sorry. Here's this shows the dark green forest in the middle surrounded by light green. Those are preserved lands with the exception of the golf courses, which I should mention, it's nice to have now, but those are not permanently preserved lands either. So there's an opportunity here to preserve the last remaining forest in Essex County and provide some connectivity to other surrounding lands. I just want to mention that New Jersey's got a huge amount of open space funding right now. And I'm not going to go into all the details of that, but there's not a problem finding funding for this property. So permanent preservation of this forest will prevent increased flooding. We already know it's floods. But by preserving it, you're going to make sure it doesn't flood more. Protecting clean drinking water supplies, make sure Essex Fells doesn't have a more degraded water supply to deal with. Increase open space and recreation in an area where it doesn't have enough already. Sequester carbon in a time when we need to do everything we can. Protect air quality, wildlife habitat. And don't forget, these are the ancestral lands of the Lenni Lenape. And there's very little of those lands left in the region. And that community is very concerned about this forest. And then one thing I want to mention here that people don't talk about a lot, but by preserving the forest rather than developing it, you have the opportunity to eliminate and at least significantly reduce the demand for municipal services in the future. I think that's a really important point to think about in terms of what the cost would be to the town to service this proposed development and the reduction or elimination of those costs that you would have by preservation. A one-time capital investment in land gives back dividends permanently over decades because of the benefits it provides and the elimination of taxes in the future. This is exactly the type of forest envisioned by the report that I wrote. It would create a lasting legacy for the residents of this West Orange and the region. The funding's available. The permanent preservation would provide multiple health, economic, and environmental benefits in perpetuity and save the town countless dollars in municipal services. So that's pretty much it. And I thank you for the opportunity.
Fires, just wait then. I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mayor McCartney,
Questions?
Vice Chairman Garino. Mr. Albert,
No, thank you.
Ms. Kapfer.
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cardoza.
No questions. Thank you for your.
Councilperson Scarpa.
No questions.
Thank you, Mr. Rizzo.
No questions, thank you.
Mr. Hazel. Thank you. Do any members of the public have any questions? Please come up and be identified, and you have 3 minutes. Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you very
Oh,
much.
wait, I'm sorry. He has a question. Come right up.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Bob Sharonell, West Essex Highlands. You point out here that funding for the purchase of this land for preservation is available. Could you tell us more about that? How do we find out what is available, how much is available? And maybe the builders would like to accept that, and we can preserve this reservation like it should be preserved. How do we get to know that what money is available?
That's available, and this is for land all around the state, but it would definitely apply here. New Jersey has a corporate business tax. It was a constitutionally dedicated tax to provide a permanent source of funding for open space, farmland, and historic preservation. That was back in 2014. And New Jersey right now has a surplus of funds because there are a lot of deals in the works that have not been completed by towns and counties, et cetera. So there's funding available at the state level through this corporate business tax. Furthermore, all 21 of New Jersey's counties have open space bonds, both open space and farmland preservation. Essex County in particular has been a leader in New Jersey in using their bond money, their county fund money to match with the state money to preserve land. So I think we're in a very good situation having a strong county government, lots of county funds and state funds. There are, in addition, municipal bond funds, as you guys all know. Many municipalities in the state, in fact, most municipalities have their own bond funds and can also match. So in a situation like this, where it's a large, expensive property that affects many communities all around, I can give you an example where we went after a 350-acre property. It was Western Electric, the first corporate campus in New Jersey in Hopewell Township. We had 5 municipalities and 4 nonprofits all bring money to the table to match the state money. And we got, I think, around $500 million, how much money did we get? Not 500 million. I think we got somewhere around 1.5 million from private dollars from some foundations and individuals who are philanthropists. So I can foresee that same kind of situation here, where multiple municipalities would come together in support of preservation, bringing dollars to the table along with the nonprofit community, the county, and the state.
Thank you. Very
Thank you.
informative and gives us something to think about. I really hope that somebody listens to what you were saying and can maybe put some efforts in finding out what this is really worth, and maybe it would be worthwhile to do it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do any of the members of the public have any questions? Please come up and be identified. Seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hey, Mr. Efron.
Thank you, Ms. Byers. Mr. Chairman, one question before Mr. Litwanier begins his presentation. I know we're going to cut off at 10 because there's an executive. All right. Can you wait 1 second, please?
Do we have a cutoff?
I was about to address the issue of Mr. Litwania, but before I was going to do that, I want to advise the chair that the West Orange Environmental Commission now is authorized to speak, and a representative of the commission, a member, Jonathan Redwine, is here and who presented me with their statement. So I was asking the chair's pleasure.
We're going to go back to experts.
That's what I just wanted to ask how the chair wants to handle that.
Experts.
Okay.
Mr.
May I have a moment, please?
Yes. I'm sorry? Mr. Clark, we'll go, let him finish, Mr. LaPorta. We'll go to 11.
Oh, thank you.
Is that from?
Do the executive session next week.
Yep, go ahead. Go ahead. Rock and roll. Rock and roll. Let's see what we got. No. Yes, yes. Okay. I'm getting pissed. Mr. Efron, do we need 5 minutes? Okay, I'm looking for the barbers, the side. This is my place, Carl. I really am.
You're mad. That's right.
No, I'm not mad at you. I'm too late. Hey, you and he are getting into it. Meetings with who's meeting, like. And always. Something. Okay. You need 5 minutes?
For student announcement and B, the only person in the room who was listening to you was really bad.
Okay, Bernie.
Not very diversion.
So we will be next week. Get the blocker.
The reverb.
So listen. It's not right. So. So next week, you get everybody. So we're gonna have start. Yes. Get it done tonight. But that's something else.
There's no way else to do it.
Okay. Yes. Yes, next meeting. Right, so we just have to put the holiday, we try to get everybody we can. We can't keep going. We're gonna take a 5-minute break so we get everything on the record. Guys, ladies and gentlemen, Joe, we're taking a 5-minute break, a 5-minute break by the clock. Thank you so much. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, everybody who's here in council chambers. Mr. Efron.
Okay.
Here.
We just need.
I'm sorry, who got called, just for the record?
Yeah.
Sorry?
Wait, I just didn't.
Mr. Efron's going to introduce him?
Yeah, I'll introduce it. I know you're going to say something.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We are back. We will call Mr. Lidwania and Lidwania Associates at the next meeting. We'll proceed now to a statement. I guess, I'm not sure what number to call this, but, it's a statement by Mr. Jonathan Red.
24.
Okay, we'll do that. It's a statement by Mr. Jonathan Redwine, who's a member of the West Orange Environmental Commission. We'll read both a letter and a resolution of the commission. And I understand before Mr. Redwine does that, Mr. Plucker had a statement to make.
Mr. Blocker.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Affron, Mr. Chairman. I just want to make it clear for the board and everybody listening that an environmental commission in the state of New Jersey is created by statute. I believe it's a section of the municipal land use law. That gives a municipality the power to create an environmental commission. In this township, the township of West Orange, there was an ordinance through the town council which created this environmental commission. I'm going to caution Mr. Redwine before he chooses to speak and read any statement about this project, that there is a settlement agreement between my client and the township of West Orange. It's a settlement agreement that was entered into in connection with the town's own declaratory judgment litigation, which was filed in July of 2015. That settlement was consummated in 2020 after 5 years of pending litigation. I'm not going to read it verbatim. I'm not going to go through every provision, but there is an unqualified obligation for this township who voluntarily chose to include this site in its third round affordable housing plan, decided to pursue approval with the assistance of a court-appointed special adjudicator to the Superior Court of New Jersey, and decided to comply with its settlement obligations by zoning the property and put it in the IH zone that this planning board is now considering here this evening. In that settlement agreement, there is an unqualified obligation by my client to cooperate with the town and for this township to cooperate with my client, to defend the settlement, and to support this project. That being said, any statement to the contrary could be viewed as a breach of that settlement agreement, and my client would reserve its rights, including bringing a complaint in the Superior Court of New Jersey.
Mr. Chairman, I'll just respond briefly. Obviously, we do not agree with the statement made by Mr. Plucker, though he did me the courtesy of telling me in advance he would be making the statement. This is similar to a letter Mr. Plucker sent to the town council, including 2 members of this board who sit on the council, in which he said similar statements, that actions by the town council critiquing or attempting to have any effect on this plan would be a breach of that settlement agreement. And the developer stated through Mr. Plucker in that letter that it would be reserving its power to sue the town for breach of contract. So Mr. Plucker's statements here are similar to statements his client has made through Mr. Plucker on another occasion in the course of this hearing. We believe such statements are improper because they're an attempt to influence members of the board who sit on the board, who are members of the council and receive that letter in their official duties as members of the board. We also think that these statements are designed to have a coercive or intimidating effect on members of the Environmental Commission, which, though created by statute, is created for the very specific purpose of offering advice and counsel to, among other agencies, this very body. And it is not a prisoner of what some town council did 5 years ago. The members of the Environmental Commission are imbued with the power to make their own decisions, and they should not be intimidated or coerced by threats by an applicant's attorney that they'll be sued. And so we take strong issue with Mr. Plucker's statement, though he did explain to me in advance what he would say. And we believe it's an effort by the developer to intimidate the commission, just as the developer did through its letter to the council, which was directed to 2 members of this board. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Blocker.
Respectfully, I think by calling a member of the Environmental Commission is trying an attempt to unduly sway this board by having this town's Environmental Commission come forth and make a statement in relation to the settlement agreement.
It's entirely the purpose of witnesses to explain their position in the hopes that the board members will accept it.
Great.
That's what we do.
Thank you. Mr. Redwine.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate having the opportunity. Sorry, Ms. McGovern, did you have?
Raise your right hand, sir.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please put your full name on the record and spell your last name.
Jonathan Redwine, Redwine.
Right ahead, sir.
My name is Jonathan Redwine. I'm a member of the West Orange Environmental Commission. I'm also a member of the Essex County Environmental Commission, but I'm here today on behalf of the West Orange Environmental Commission, and I'm authorized to read a letter that we sent to the planning board that's dated August 13th, 2025 into the record. Dear members of the West Orange Planning Board, on behalf of the West Orange Environmental Commission, I write to formally express our strong opposition to the development proposed in the above captioned matter. The above captioned matter is PB-24-01 West Essex Highlands, Inc., proposal to destroy forested acres and build 496-unit multifamily property. After careful review and consideration, the WOEC finds that this proposed development is inconsistent with our community's environmental goals and would adversely impact ecological integrity, regional open space, and quality of life for residents. As described further below, we ask that the planning board, 1, reject the above captioned application, and 2, require a full environmental impact statement for any future proposed development of the site. We wish to emphasize that our stance is in full alignment with the resolutions recently adopted by the environmental commissions and governing bodies of neighboring municipalities. Specifically, the WOEC endorses and stands with the towns of Verona, Caldwell, and Essex Fells, and with the Essex County Environmental Commission, all of whom have issued resolutions stating opposition to the proposed project because of the reasonably foreseeable severe environmental impact that would occur should it be realized. I would just add to this letter that we would most likely, and I would say definitely would, sign on to the statement that the South Orange Environmental Commission read tonight before you. Going on with the letter. These resolutions collectively articulate serious environmental, hydrological, and community scale concerns regarding the proposed West Essex Highlands development. We believe their conclusions are well-founded in scientific and planning principles. In support of our position, the WOEC, attaching our own formal resolution, which outlines our rationale in detail. Key points include 1, protection of natural resources. The Highlands area includes sensitive ecosystems, watersheds, critical wildlife habitats, and mature woodlands. The proposed development would fragment these areas, degrade biodiversity, and reduce natural water infiltration, impacting downstream systems. 2, stormwater and watershed concerns. The project site lies within a significant watershed. Any large-scale clearing, grading, or impermeable paving will result in increased erosion, sedimentation, and stormwater runoff, which will adversely affect water quality and local stream systems. 3, preservation of open space and scenic character. The Highlands contribute to the scenic beauty and rural character that define our region. Their loss would diminish open space and community identity that West Orange and its neighbors value highly. 4, cumulative regional impact. We share the concerns voiced by Verona, Caldwell, Essex Fells, and Essex County. The West Essex Highlands development may set precedent for further sprawl in the region, undermining coordinated planning and environmental stewardship. Request of the Planning Board. Based on these considerations, the West Orange Environmental Commission respectfully urges the Planning Board to 1, deny the application for the proposed development, and 2, require a full environmental impact statement that comprehensively addresses the issues outlined above, including hydrological modeling, ecosystem assessments, and evaluation of alternative lower impact design options for this or any future proposed development of the site. We also request that the Planning Board hold a joint public hearing with representatives from the environmental commissions of Verona, Caldwell, Essex Fells, and Essex County, fostering regional dialogue and coordinated decision-making on this matter. Again, the WOEC affirms its alignment with the corresponding resolutions from neighboring municipalities in Essex County and strongly opposes any approval of the current development plan for the West Essex Highlands. We trust that the planning board will consider these environmental concerns with the seriousness they deserve and act in protection of West Orange's ecological and community welfare. Thank you for your attention to this important issue. We stand ready to work collaboratively in pursuit of a sustainable, well-planned future for our township and region. Sincerely, and it's signed by the chairman of our commission, Michael Brick. Now, we also approved a resolution, which is a little shorter than the letter, which I'll also read into the record. Resolution of the West Orange Environmental Commission opposing and condemning the proposed development at West Essex Highlands, West Orange, New Jersey. Whereas the proposed development by West Essex Highlands, Inc. seeks to construct 496 residential units on a 120-acre tract of undeveloped forest located on the western ridgeline of the Watchung Mountains, bordering Essex Fells, Verona, and Roseland. And whereas this area is heavily vegetated with mature trees, wetlands, steep slopes, and serves as a watershed for the Peckman River and Canoe Brook. And whereas West Orange is heavily forested, steeply sloped municipality in Essex County, which is the most densely populated county in New Jersey, the most densely populated state in the United States. And whereas the environmental impacts of this development include deforestation, increased stormwater runoff, disruption of local ecosystems and watersheds, and potential harm to surrounding neighborhoods due to inadequate drainage systems. And whereas the loss of thousands of trees will exacerbate flooding risks in nearby towns, including Verona and Essex Fells, and diminish air quality and biodiversity. And whereas changes in weather patterns and climate and warmer average temperatures create circumstances for more frequent and stronger storms, which have not been adequately accounted for in the current proposal. And whereas this development contradicts sustainable land use practices outlined in West Orange's master plan, which emphasizes conservation, smart growth, and low-impact development. And whereas neighboring municipalities such as Verona, Essex Fells, and Caldwell, as well as the Essex County Environmental Commission, have all issued resolutions opposing this project due to the reasonably foreseeable environmental consequences and harm to neighboring communities. And whereas public safety concerns related to steep slopes and traffic congestion remain unresolved, despite the 2006 rejection of similar proposals by the West Orange Planning Board. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the West Orange Environmental Commission strongly opposes and condemns the proposed West Essex Highlands development. Be it further resolved that the Commission urges the West Orange Planning Board to deny approval for this application due to its severe environmental, safety, and community impacts. Be it finally resolved that the Commission supports placing this land under permanent conservation easement to preserve its ecological value for future generations. Adopted this 13th day of August, 2025.
Mr. Chairman, I have no questions for Mr. Redwan.
Thank you.
Okay, is that a separate document? Do we have to mark
Yeah.
for identification? Okay, so we'll
I've never been
vote
provided with a copy.
25,
I think we're provided with a copy.
so that I have it either. So,
I have no copy.
no one has you don't have a copy
Okay.
either.
Would
Okay.
you give it to Yamilet and she will
And
publish
give
it and
it
give it,
Yamilet and.
and she'll get it out to everybody
it'll go on
tomorrow.
the agenda.
And we'll put it on the agenda.
That a resolution of what?
The West Orange Environmental Commission.
Okay. So is the
So the
resolution as-
resolution will be 025, the letter is 024.
Yeah,
Thank you.
resolutions 025. Okay, Mayor McCartney, do you have any questions for Mr. Redwine? Vice Chairman Garina, do you have any questions, Mr. Redwine? Mr. Alfred, do you have any questions,
thank
Mr. Redwine? Ms. Caffrey, do you have any questions, Mr. Redwine?
I do not.
Mr. Cadoza, do you have any questions, Mr. Redwine?
No question.
Mr. Rizzo, do you have any questions, Mr. Redwine? Mr. Hazel, do you have any questions? Mr. Palaka, do you have any questions, Mr. Redwine?
No, I do not.
Do any members of the public have any questions? Ms. Scarp, Councilperson Scarpa, do you have any questions for Mr. Redwine?
No, I do not.
Thank you. Do any members of the public, I'm sorry, Mayor McCartney?
Did all the members of the Environmental Commission sign that letter? I haven't seen it.
Their names aren't on the letter, but they all signed off on it.
Do any members of the public have any questions for Mr. Redwine on his presentation? Seeing none, thank you very much, sir. Geotechnical. Mr. Rizzo. Okay. Mr. Rizzo, the planning board would like a geotechnical evaluation of the applicant and the objectors' geotechnical representations, and you give us what you feel is the explanation of everything they said. Because we have one on this side and one on that side, and you're going to be the arbiter of who's right. Either you or CME.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, we can review that and prepare
Yes.
a letter on that.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you. I'm sorry? No, no. I see a little sweat on your brow, sir. No, this isn't school. It's okay. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry, Ms. Caffer.
Yeah. Just to clarify something that was just asked about signatures on the Environmental Commission letter. Ken Alper and Ken was serving and then I came on and neither of us were part of the letter process because it was when we were in transition. So we missed the meetings about that letter.
As well as I didn't accept my reappointment, but when we talked about it last year, I recused myself from that process and presumably there was only, I think, one environmental commission. There was only a single environmental commission meeting once you were appointed. And that took place on a night when we had a planning board meeting, so you weren't there. So neither of us participated in that environmental commission discussion.
Yeah, just to clarify.
At all.
Yeah.
Okay, for the record, thank you. Oh, no. Okay. So the next regular planning board meeting will be held September 3rd, 2025 at 6:30 PM in council chambers. This application will be carried with no further notice required. I'm sorry.
To that date.
To that date,
September.
September 3rd, 2025 at 6:30 PM in council chambers. And you'll be able to watch it via Zoom. The next special planning board meeting will be held September 10th, 2025, 6:30 PM in council chambers. And on that evening, we will discuss the fourth round housing element and fair share plan, West Orange Township fourth round HEFSP draft to determine the date. Okay, we'll do that. And we will have a presentation by Hire Gruel, the planner, and we will have public comment and the planning board will also discuss. So now I need a motion to go to executive session. I make a motion, we go to executive session.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
All in favor? McCartney?
Aye.
McCartney? Yes. Councilperson Scarpa? Okay, I also make a motion, we adjourn this meeting and we will now come back. Vice Chairman Garino second, all in favor? Opposed?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Now, what did come to me for Salute after?
Yeah.